Here this evening, Councilmember Arnold, Councilmember Woods, Councilmember Ambrose, Councilmember Shinzing. Mayor Pro Tem is online with us. Mayor Gunther, I turn the meeting over to you, sir.
Okay. Order. We have Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invocation.
Thank you, Jennifer. Gracious God, we ask your guidance this evening as we serve our community. Grant wisdom to those who deliberate, clarity to those who speak, and open hearts to all who listen. May our decisions be guided by fairness, compassion, and a sincere desire for the common good. We give thanks for the opportunity to serve and for the people we represent. May our work tonight contribute to peace, understanding, and the well-being of our city of Walled Lake. I'd also like to add in a special request for Mayor Gunther's father-in-law, who's 82 years old and had a terrible slip and fall and has broken his ankle and is struggling through his recovery. So a special intention for him this evening too. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Roll call.
Yes. Ambrose,
Here.
Arnold,
Here.
Locke, absent, O'Rourke,
Present.
Shinzing,
Here.
Woods,
Here.
Gunther.
Here.
Thank you.
Can
Mr.
I make a motion to excuse
Sure.
Councilmember Locke?
Thank you.
Sure. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Would you like a roll call, Mr. Mayor, or all in favor?
Yeah, you go ahead. We ought to always do that, right?
Okay, very good. Ambrose?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
O'Rourke?
Yes.
Shinzing?
Yes.
Woods?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Requests for agenda changes? I think we all have a couple of things that are new business, but nothing there. So approval of minutes. Council meeting minutes of the 2nd and special meeting on the 6th.
O'Rourke will make a motion to approve.
Can we get a second?
Ambrose will second.
And that is for both, correct, at the same time? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Very good. Arnold?
Yes.
O'Rourke?
Yes.
Shinzing?
Yes.
Woods?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, mayor's report. Got a little thing. Thanks, everybody. Thanks all you guys for the efforts you had during the snowstorm. That was crazy, right? It came out of nowhere. None of us knew it was going to happen, and then it just didn't stop. It's a complete mess. People were sliding all over the place. My cleaning guy, he said, I said, you want to borrow my truck? He goes, no, I'm good. He dumped his Charger Hellcat in a ditch, so he left it at my house that night after they towed it. I think I speak for everybody in council. Great job to you guys, right? The DDA, fire and police. I got to ask a question. How many people did you respond to that night?
I think in 24 hours we had 14 accidents.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Great job, guys. I'm telling you. It seemed like most of the streets were cleared in our responsibility and before the county ever came to see us. Right? Dennis, I don't know. Is that us being the little town that nobody cares about and the county just didn't get to see us, or do we have to call and be the squeaky wheel? I'm not sure.
I'm not as how to respond to that. I don't know. we had, it turns out that hit when we had 3 staff members. We had, if you all know who they are, Tim, Eric, and Chase.
Yeah.
3. I was behind them most of the time, but they didn't look up. They plowed the Tri-A subdivisions, all that,
Yeah.
and they were busy. I think before they were ordered back, They got 3 hours sleep. Was that about what it was? They didn't complain. They just made note of it.
Yeah.
We were right up until the county started finally getting to their obligations. We were still doing the city's roads.
Yeah.
Now, there is a distinction between, some people don't get that, between county roads and what we call our local roads, classifications and all that. But for the purpose of snow plowing, we plow pretty much anything that's in our city limitations. We're not talking about road maintenance, we're talking about plowing in an event. We were not in a position to be mutually aiding with somebody else. We would do that if it was
Yeah.
possible, but our team worked tirelessly through that whole event, and I'm pretty proud of them, and I have actually a pending commendation for the 3 guys that worked. They were out there, and they really didn't look up. They were plow, and we actually got a compliment from, which is kind of unusual. We got a compliment that how well and courteous they were in terms of plowing the subdivisions. I knew that was true because I give them those instructions, don't tear down the lawn, because we get that, every once in a while I get a complaint that you tore up my rock garden, which was probably 6 inches under the snow. They can't see that. But
Right.
anyway, they responded. We got our roads cleared as quick as we could. I think there was some, maybe even the mayor got a little undue criticism.
I got a nice letter.
It's usually the mayor's fault, no matter who's the mayor, if things don't go right.
Yeah.
And of course, the next phase of that is the mayor blames the city manager. So you can blame me if you get the complaints, but our team did good. Your team did good. We know this because we had that conversation
Yeah.
over the weekend.
But
I'm
from
proud
the
of the team.
Road commission, Dennis, that's really my question is, should we have been, is it just that we're the little guy and they were doing everybody else first, or should we complain to them?
We don't control how they do that. The road commission is an independent authority. They got
Yeah.
3 people, and a lot of people think they work directly for the county. That's not true. The road commission is funded by what we call Act 51 funds. That's the taxes on your highways and, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. We don't give the road commission any of the citizens' tax dollars from here.
Right.
We do have plans. It's called tri-party, where the county gives us some of their money to, in terms of not maintenance, but paving and redoing. But for weather, no. The road commission does their roads outside of the city's limit. They're supposed to do our roads inside the city limit, but if they don't get to it, we'll do it.
Right.
We will do, let's say, Maple and Pontiac. We will do that. It is their responsibility in terms of them claiming responsibility. So the road commission has, if you call it, jurisdiction. Some people get that wrong. They say, well, it's in the city. They're not supposed to do it without our approval. That's not exactly how it works.
Right.
That's a misunderstanding of the law. The law says they're supposed to maintain the roads, but in this case, they were just overwhelmed.
Yeah, was it that they were totally overwhelmed, or were they cleaning other places first? 'Cause
Well,
we're
I
the
can't, I
little
won't
guy.
get into that. You get to do that. You're
Yeah,
elected.
maybe a question we'll have to talk about.
I won't get into what they were doing. I just know
So
our
we've been a
team.
squeaky wheel is the
I
question.
was here. I watched them. My team was working hard, all 3 of them. And, nobody can claim otherwise. They can say it, and they did it, and they got it cleaned up pretty good. Right now, if you go out, it ain't too bad out there.
Yeah.
Why it didn't get done, most of you know I live just a little bit outside of Wall Lake, just a minute, and I live right off Glengarry. Well, Glengarry, and during that event, they didn't touch Glengarry for a minute, so I was driving in.
Sideways.
And I'm doing the under my breath cussing too, so I get it.
Yeah.
But it got cleared by everybody. They all did a good job. They just didn't expect it. There was probably people on vacation stuff. We have that too. I'm proud of the people. So anybody who's complaining about they just don't understand the system or have a need to complain, complaining about the mayor, with all due respect to you, that's absurd. You didn't throw the snowstorm, although you might have called and tried to stop it, but I don't know if they listened to the mayor.
The couple that I got, I sent a response to them, and I got a response back from both of them, but the one I wanted to read. And it was, hey, thanks a lot for your response. I'm grateful to the personnel working the long hours, taking the time to review the policy. I also wanted to commend the young lady who answered the phone at the city offices for being patient and informative when she was a little rude. She thought she was a little rude to you, whoever it was. I'm not sure who answered. Despite being a resident for decades, I actually wasn't aware until I called that the RCOC, not the city, was in charge of cleaning our roads. It appears it's not common knowledge. And I kind of knew it. I knew that we're not responsible for a county road, right? it's kind of somebody else, right?
And that's a fair statement. We
Yeah.
are not responsible for maintenance of county roads. However, if
If you
it's
do
in
it,
our
it's mutual aid.
jurisdiction, we keep it cleared. I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how many times when they don't get to it, we take care of it.
Right.
And probably they think the county does it. But yes, they're responsible for county roads, and it's a misunderstanding to believe that somehow we're supposed to hit the county roads first.
Yeah.
The reason they're county roads is because they're designated as main thoroughfares and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Our local roads are the subdivisions.
Yeah.
I still think our team, I was out there.
Fabulous job.
I eyeballed it. I got my eyes on it all during that term. They did a great job. My team, all three of them did a really, really good job. So it's not fair, anybody, but they may not get it because it was a really bad storm.
Yeah, I was in Rochester Hills, Sterling Heights. I drove down to Dearborn, then I drove back. The whole friggin' place, the whole city was a mess.
Yeah,
It
it
was a
wasn't
nightmare.
just, it wasn't
The whole
Wall Lake or.
Southeast Michigan was a mess. Do we have any injuries? Or anything serious?
No, we didn't have anything
No.
serious.
Yeah, just dumping in a ditch and stuff. Yeah. The whole discussion kind of goes back to my transparency thing, and not a lot of people understand how our government works. I'm not surprised, right? I mean, every now and then, Dennis, you still school me. I mean, it's very rare. Very rare.
We get, during the last week, we've got some silly phone calls. We
Yeah.
got, they trash the front office. It's funny because they do that. They say things to people who, they're just answering the phone,
Yeah.
And why aren't what are my taxes? That's the standard. Where are my taxes going?
Yeah.
And I get it because it's frustration if you can't drive. So, but that's part of what we deal with every day. We dealt with it all last week and probably be dealing with it for another week. But I still think my team did a good job. And frankly, I think the county did a pretty fair job. They were caught off guard too. They don't always get it right. But, we got FOIA requests, wants to know GPS locations of I'm serious, GPS locations of the road commission's units. I mean, we don't keep track of that stuff. We clean the roads, and that's what we did. So I'm proud of my people. I appreciate you standing fast and backing up my team. I really do,
Yeah,
man.
really good job, honestly. It's funny. It's like maybe there needs to be a how our government works course, because apparently I'm just the bill doesn't get to everybody anymore, right? So interesting that nobody really understood that, right? Really interesting. But it brings up an interesting point, right? That event, and then during Christmas we had like a complete, half the city was out of power it was only ended up being a few hours, but it was freezing out and people didn't have their furnaces. And, they kind of makes you scratch your head and you go, we didn't really talk, right? So during both those events, nobody really communicated. And it almost, in my prior life, there was a well-documented escalation process, and we don't really have one, right? So it's something maybe we should be looking at putting on paper, right? Who calls who first, right? Paul, when do you end up? If you can't get a hold of Dennis, how long do you wait to call me and wake me up at night? You know what I mean? Something to that effect. And do you need something, if the power went out for a long time and it was that cold out, do we have people that will do the welfare check on those that are, could be in danger when there's no heat, like elderly and stuff? And do you come up with a neighborhood person that tries to make sure those that are in danger might be okay? I don't know. It's just something that I think about, because if there's an injury at a factory, there's an instantaneous escalation process, and we talk to people and you get the right people. If it was a terrorist attack, how would I get a hold of them? When would I know, and how would I get a hold of the governor?
You'd know.
Yeah, I know, but is there anything laid out, right? It's something that if you do tribal knowledge, it usually destroys an organization, right? So well-documented procedural lists and numbers. I used to have assembly plants they'd have a breakdown and they wouldn't know who to call, right? So I ended up having it where everybody's screen, when they turned it on in the morning, you had the list of the key suppliers for what's something that broke, and you could instantly make the phone call. You didn't have to wake up the vice president of manufacturing at 2 a.m. to find a motor, right? So it's something we got to talk about. Maybe it's an interesting thing we should lay out.
Can I add one topic to that?
Yeah.
Important part too is on our website, we do have, at least for new residents when they come in, there's a list of important contacts and list of
Yeah.
who they can get a hold of. So that's a good point of resource.
Yeah.
And then I've mentioned in the past too, DTE does have an app that you can get.
Yeah,
And
for your
there's phone
power.
numbers, yeah, so they can actually attack that
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Yeah, so, but for all of us, right? When do they go through the list and how long does it take to get to you?
Yeah, and then to add on too, right? How do you train people that aren't aware of that?
Right.
So one of our resources that we have too is a library. In fact, our library director is over there.
Yeah.
And they do a pretty good job of setting up meetings in the afternoon. And maybe that's something that they can do to help put something together per month or something to help train or enhance the knowledge of people that live in Walled Lake.
Yeah, it's just it's a topic that it's probably worth looking at, right? It's funny because you go, only when you have a problem do you go, shit, we weren't really prepared, right? Or we did the best we could, but what could we do better is really the most important thing you look at in anything that happens. What could we have done better tomorrow? And it might not be so important, as Dennis, you say, we're still trying to bail the water out of the boat. That's really not that important. But those little things, if they're easy and quick to document or do, you just put them on the list, and when you get the prioritization done, maybe someday you get to it, but at least it's there, right? So it's something that we should really talk about. Easy things, right? If you got easy things, and regardless of their priority, you should put them on the list. You don't ever take them off, because if you're working on something huge, right, you have big projects. Jennifer, you're working hard on something. There's a whole big list. Van, you're all over it. You want to take a break for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour. You go look at those easy ones and bang those out real quick, because while you're doing, this is true with everybody, while you're doing some task it's not taking a lot of mental effort, it's just a quick, easy when you get done. While you're doing that, your subconscious is still working on the other one, but you don't know it. And then when you go back to the other project, there's something there for you, right? So you get a little creative while you're not thinking about it. But it's always nice to break, and then you get more shit done than you could ever imagine, right? It's just a productivity thing I always learned. We should really talk about that a little bit. And during new business, I'm going to talk about a directive that we probably ought to throw together and vote on, so we don't let all the little stuff slide off the table, right? So how do we keep that list of, hey, if you could ever get to it, how do you get it done, right? So with that said, again, guys, thank you so much for what a great job you guys did. That was crazy. I never saw anything. I have seen something like it before, but that was pretty bad, and took us all by surprise. So with that said, we're into what, audience participation?
We do have the
Presentation by
yes.
boss. Okay.
Brent, why don't you stand up and introduce yourself? Brent is the president of the engineering firm that we've had since I've been here. He's now the president of the firm, and if he'll introduce himself and tell you what he wants to tell you about the project that we've got. So
Sure.
Brent,
Go ahead,
please.
Brent. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. It's my pleasure to be here this evening. I am standing in for your city engineer, Brad Mackey. He was not able to attend this evening. So I'm going to do my best to go through our PowerPoint and hopefully answer any questions you may have. And if I can't answer them, well, I'll pass them along to Brad.
Okay. Jen, can you go full screen? I'm like visually challenged. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, we have two different,
There we go.
okay.
All right, so this evening's presentation is to talk about the Walled Lake downtown. And the Walled Lake downtown is primarily West Walled Lake Drive from Pontiac Trail to Hillcroft. So I think as council knows, there is currently an accessibility issue on that, specifically on that first block. So from Pontiac Trail to Liberty.
That's our ADA problem, is that, Dennis?
Yes. So there are some long-standing city goals. There is downtown accessibility. There is obviously public safety, and then there's beautification. So three important components. And then, as I mentioned, there is the current Department of Justice letter of finding. And that specifically addresses that first block. And essentially, it has put the city on notice that there are some items that have to be addressed in that first block. So as part of our work, not only have we looked at the first block, Pontiac Trail to Liberty, but we've extended that to Hillcroft as a preliminary look. So some other items to note, there are concerns about accessibility in those sections, parking, accessible routes, the safety crossings, and there's also a coal chute in that first block, and I'm not sure if any of you are aware of that, but
How big is that?
so that coal chute, I wasn't at the site visit, but it's pretty good size, and it extends. And I actually have not a picture of the coal chute itself, but a picture of the sidewalk where the coal chute is, and so. So there are certainly some items in that first block that we have to address. Now, with issues also come opportunities. So this is an opportunity to obviously address the DOJ letter. It's an opportunity to address and improve pedestrian safety and accessibility. It's an opportunity to improve the vehicular safety and accessibility in that block. And we obviously are conscious and aware of the businesses downtown. And it's an opportunity to make it more appealing for them. All right, so city actions to date. We were authorized by the city to perform a topographical survey of the downtown in 2024. And essentially what that did is it maps out the entire downtown area. It provides elevations of the road, the sidewalks, the curbs, the utilities. So that work was completed, and the base map was essentially created in 2024. Then we moved on to our preliminary work, which includes phase one, which is that first block, and it extends the corridor concept over to Hillcroft. We don't want to be working in a vacuum for that first block, not taking into consideration the remainder of the downtown area. We received DDA and City Council approval for that work. And as mentioned, it was from Pontiac Trail to Hillcroft. And then we moved into the initial preliminary phase one work, and that included presentation to council back in May of last year. And that presentation had a number of ideas associated with it. So we had done some concepts, and we had worked with city staff, and we came before council and talked about some of the options and talked about how we have to address issues and how there are some other opportunities as we're addressing those issues. So again, the primary focus was obviously the accessibility. That's the DOJ letter. And we then had the preliminary engineering plans, which were in August of last year. And those preliminary engineering plans are focused only on phase one, so just that first block. And we talked about what do we have to do to address the coal chute. We talked about improving aesthetics. We talked about trees, and we talked about, obviously, the ADA, Americans for Disabilities Act. And so that plan was presented, as I said, back last August to council. Can go to the next slide, please, Chelsea. All right, so that brings us essentially to that was all kind of background. So moving on to the agenda, I'm going to recap the overall area of work in phase 1, recap project objectives and existing conditions, talk a little bit about that preliminary plan for the first block, talk about some selected project components, talk about the budget, and talk about next steps. All right, obviously, this looks familiar to everybody. This is East Walled Lake Drive. It's from Pontiac Trail on the left side of the screen to Hillcroft on the far right side of the screen, with phase 1 noted as being that first block from Pontiac Trail to Liberty. This is obviously a photo from Pontiac Trail looking east, looking at primarily that first block of downtown. All right, so then, again, this is still focused on the first block, and there are a number of photos, starting with, I think to the far right, we have the tavern there and the steps associated with it. Number 2 is obviously those same steps. As you move west, you can see, excuse me, you can see there are more steps for the storefronts. You can see some of and it doesn't show up great, but there's a lot of slope to that sidewalk, that what we call transverse slope or side slope. That exceeds the ADA maximum percentage. So not only are there steps we're dealing with, but there are also sidewalk slopes we're currently dealing with. Picture number 4 there is obviously the angled parking in front of the businesses on the north side of East Walled Lake Drive. Number 5, so that manhole that's shown there, that is an access to that coal chute I was speaking of earlier. And there's the concrete kind of around that's roughly outlining the coal chute. It's pretty decent size. It's accessible from the manhole. It's also accessible from the basement of the business. And I wasn't down there, but we had our structural consultant and Brad and another gentleman from our office, Patrick Cleary, were there, and they were down there. They did some investigation just on a preliminary basis. Number 6, kind of a similar angle showing that area. And then moving further west, we have, you can see the steep angled sidewalk there going to the businesses, and then the steps to the greenhouse. So that kind of summarizes the north side of the street, and I believe the next slide shows some.
One quick question. For number 5 and number 6, that work is done by the private property owner? That wasn't city work, correct?
If you recall, some of the surveys prove that a lot of the construction there, which visually looks like it's public, is not. There's no correlation between where they built the sidewalk. Some of it's city property by survey, some of it belongs to the individuals. So that's one of the issues that probably delayed any improvements down there, because they just built it back in the day. The coal chutes, for instance, nobody knew what was underground. So if the city ran in the past and said, well, let's start digging up, you don't know what you're going to run into, so they didn't do anything. But a lot of the area that we may have to deal with, probably, it's a good estimate that we may have to acquire approval to use it, easements, or whatever we're going to call it. The city attorney will end up determining that if the project moves forward. But there's private property ownership, if you will, that we would need to do. That's the way it appears from the previous reviews. So is that close to what you recall?
Yes, it's based on our survey work we had done in 2024. The actual property lines are approximately 4 feet into the sidewalk. So those buildings are all set back roughly 4 feet from their front property.
Sounds pretty strange, But you have to think about when they built this stuff, you know, this is many years ago. I mean, nobody went in Wall Lake and put a telephone pole in the middle of the sidewalk. What happens is roads were smaller, they were put in, and then later they began to try to do that. So they put the sidewalk in, but they didn't take the poles out. So you see that stuff all over town. It's the same thing downtown. You got some strange way, and the rules were different, so there wasn't a requirement of the city from 54 forward to make any adjustments. Even in the ADA requirements, there's not much going on downtown that the city had anything to do with. But because somebody complained that, you know, they didn't have what they think should be done, it was one of the businesses downtown, well, they sent the whole team down, and they complained about not essentially having access, ADA wheelchair or whatever, but they were across the street measuring how high the button was on the pole, and we didn't put the button on the pole. The city doesn't control the pole. So they went in, and if you go down there, they jury-rigged it. You can see they got the metal straps and moving it. It's just, you know, but it meets the requirements now. So, but because there's that letter of finding, we still gonna have to address it. I don't think the new administration is gonna send the federal team down like the old administration did. They had like 5 or 6 people in there with rulers and tapes and measuring and all that because somebody said we need, you know, wheelchair access. So it turned into a mess. You can't really deal with those people because they were the feds, with all due respect to the feds. And so that's what we got. But we are going to have to deal with it because it's brought to our attention. We cannot ignore it. There was a finding. You need to fix it. So we've been getting for how many months, how many years? The letter, what are you going to do? What's your plan to fix it? Well, this is it. So somehow this board has got to decide what the real plan is. And I think we were headed, but there's a new majority, and we all recognize that. So the new majority gets to deal with the old group and decide how we're going to fix it. This is your job. That's why we're doing the representation essentially. And the questions you're asking are valid, yes. But you get to decide how far we go ahead. It's going to be expensive. There's going to be a few bucks involved. And it looks like with a good partnership with the Downtown Development Authority, that we can get them to fund a lot of that, but the city's general fund may have to come up with a few of those bucks, depending on how big. If you go from phase 1 to phase 2, when we first were looking at that, we were looking at all of downtown from Pontiac all the way up to Hillcroft, almost in front of the mayor's house. You know, we were really going up there. That changed a little bit when the DDA bought the property, so we can do what we want there, but we were gonna have to factor that in if it got passed. So right now, if we focus on phase 1, that's what I would recommend. Focus on that and decide if we're gonna do that, how we're gonna do it, with an eye towards what we're gonna do for phase 2 and 3 if we get there. So that's where we are.
Yeah.
Brent, by the way, he didn't mention it. Brent, he's the boss now. But he was also the city's engineer when I got here many years ago. I believe, were you the guy who finished up the parking lot out here? The proof of his good engineering skills is when you go out there right now, that was many years ago, that water drains to where it's supposed to go. And
That's the first one in Wall Lake.
No, when we got here, we had to redo it. It was all sinking. This parking lot was built on sludge and it was dropping, and thank God our superintendent found that, and they dug it all out and redid it. But they designed that, and to this day, even though the asphalt cracks a little bit, but the water drain, it's amazing. It just goes in the right place for all these years that they did it. So he's got the on-site experience as well. He just graduated and took over the company. He's the president now, and of course, he probably remembers all of this now. It's coming back to you now?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I never
this,
really
Brent,
forgot it,
I
Dennis.
say this because we got a new group, and they don't know the name. They don't know how long Boss has been here, and there's a lot you don't know, and we're prepared to answer those questions. But Boss was here, and there is a real boss. His name is Mike Boss, and he did well in that group and that company, and he's a hockey player. If those guys at 75 thereabouts, he's still playing hockey.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but he turned it over to Brent. So, but he's no newcomer to Wall Lake. You guys have heard of Brad, but Brad's been here as our engineer for the last several years. But Brent was here early on. So,
Why don't you keep going?
Okay, sure. All right. So, again, the primary goal with our work is meeting that federally mandated ADA requirement. And that's, again, that's the what we call the phase one area, which is Walled Lake Drive to, from Pontiac Trail to Liberty. So the primary objectives, keeping the big goal in mind, we want to remove the steps. That's the single biggest item. Others besides.
What
that's-
steps? Is that in picture 8, those steps?
Yeah, so it's the steps to the businesses. Now, there are a couple steps that will remain. There are some steps at the greenhouse that will remain on the west end, and I think 2 steps at the tavern on the east end. All of these steps in between all those businesses.
Like in 6, there's a step there going up into that business?
Yeah, let me look at my
There's an illustration that shows
PowerPoint here.
later in the deck.
Yes, exactly. There are steps there in 6, there's the slope in 7, there's the steps in 3. So,
Okay.
so those were part of the DOJ letter, as well as I mentioned that significant transverse slope on the sidewalk. So there are,
Okay, I understand this.
there are a lot of items.
So the steps going from the sidewalk into the businesses, there's a step up.
Yes.
Got it.
All right, so again, first objective, remove the steps. Second, we want to improve the accessible routes. We want to improve the street crossings. We need to improve the cross slopes because those cross slopes are part of the ADA requirements. We want to improve the stormwater management. We want that area of the city to drain better. In particular, we want Walled Lake Drive to drain better. And we obviously want to maintain the functionality of that block and the traffic as well. We want to improve the gateway. I mentioned, we have an opportunity here, and we want to improve that gateway. We want to attract people to downtown, and we want to keep them downtown. That's the last bullet point there is improve functionality, and part of that is keeping the people downtown. At the bottom of the slide, the corridor concept plan portion of the contract is a secondary priority, and again, that extends all the way to Hillcroft. But it is considered because we don't want to be doing that phase 1 work in a vacuum. As Dennis mentioned, we want to take a look at and consider that entire area. All right, so here is our initial preliminary design work, and this is just essentially an overhead view or a bird's eye view. You can see the businesses on the north side and the south side. This may look similar from an overhead view, but it's very different. So we have the angled parking spaces on the north side of Walled Lake Drive. We have our ADA space on the far east end of those spaces. And you can see there's a sidewalk then that extends from that ADA space to the primary sidewalk on the north side of the road. And from there, the person could either choose to go to the crosswalk and go to the south side of the road, or they could go to the west and visit those businesses on the north side. You can see there are some rectangles there that are north of the parking stalls. Those are proposed to be planters. There are several purposes for those. They're going to help direct people. They're going to be a safety feature. They're going to have some aesthetics. So those are all part of the plan at this point, the preliminary plan. On the south side, we are removing some trees that are close to the intersection there. We're doing sidewalk improvements. We're putting in some new landscape areas. We're maintaining the existing light poles that are there. So work on both sides of the road. The entire pavement section will be removed and replaced with new asphalt, and the parking spaces are proposed as concrete pavement at this time. All right, moving on, then we have the critical components. As I mentioned, we're removing the sidewalk and replacing it, both sides, the north side and the south side. The steps at the building entrances will be removed. We're improving and creating the ADA accessible parking stall in the angled parking area. We're improving and creating the ADA accessible routes, as well as at the same time improving and bringing into compliance the sidewalk cross slopes. We're going to have safer pedestrian circulation as a result of the plan. We're going to update the storm sewer system in this particular area. Talked about the on-street parking already. We're proposing some exposed aggregate concrete terraces. Those are one of the opportunities for some aesthetic enhancement in this area. We're planning to keep the large existing tree at the corner of Liberty and Walled Lake Drive. And on the south side of the road, I think I mentioned it earlier, those trees that are close to Pontiac Trail on the south side, those will be removed. Right now, they're pretty much right below the power lines.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
All right, so here's some things, some components of the plan at this stage of the game. I mentioned that exposed aggregate that'll be inserted into the concrete sidewalk. Just dresses it up a little. It's a
Just
minimal.
a question for you. What's the pricing differential on exposed aggregate versus brush?
So it's minimal. I don't have an exact amount at this time, but it's relatively minimal, and it creates that edge and kind of creates that interest in the area. Have the sidewalk enhancement and the crosswalk enhancement, and then here's an example of potentially some trash receptacles to get some continuity and consistency downtown there.
Is there a difference between life expectancy on aggregate versus the brushed for being so close to the road and getting a lot of salt?
You know, it will get the salt, obviously. Salt and concrete aren't the greatest friends to begin with. Yeah. I think with the aggregate, though, I'm not positive of that. There's a chance that it actually is a longer life than just the concrete with the aggregate there. But we can certainly check into that and report back.
Yeah, I mean, we got to look at this from a life cycle cost, right? What is it, long-term
For sure.
life cycle costing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the aggregate's just a little bit more. Actually, I think it's a lot more. But and then when you have the smaller sections, because you've done the nice aesthetic curves, those have a tendency of blowing themselves up easy, right? What's left of the regular concrete. So I'd really like to take a look at that. You know, if you've got this estimate, I'd love to see some detail behind what the estimate is. I'll give you the same speech I gave the water treatment guys when they came in. Anything with 3 zeros and 0 zeros, 0.00, doesn't really look like an estimate. It looks like a plucked from air, or however you like to call that. But when I was young, I got told, 21 years old, I presented something, and my boss said, go out and sit on the couch until you let that thought pass. Because if you had 1.1 and you plucked it out of the air, you should at least tell everybody it's 1,097,654.46, and then it looks like you did an estimate. So I'd love to see some detail behind that.
Mm-hmm. Sure, and we'll provide that.
Yeah.
So there's that 1.1 million number, and that is so that's for the first block, and that includes construction costs, engineering costs, structural engineering, geotech, engineering, construction, inspection, and administration services. It includes, the estimate is based on 2026 with inflation contingencies. And as mentioned, it is for phase one. It does include addressing that coal chute, by the way. As I mentioned, we did have our structural consultant here for a preliminary look when Brad and Patrick were out there with the business owner.
What was the plan on the coal chute? Because I would assume you just pour quick fluid fill and it's done.
Yeah, it's because that basement wall is obviously it's a structural wall that has to be controlled fill in fairly small lifts. But that's basically it. We're going to use a flowable fill, and it gets filled up in lifts. Complicating factor is there is a water lead going right through there. So one of those things that also has to be addressed.
Okay, are there any other like sewer problems in the general area? Is what's the county telling us, or what do we know, Dan? Do we know anything?
Most of it's 50 to 70-year-old galvanized steel pipe that's totally dilapidated.
Yeah, so we gotta do that anyway. Yeah. Yes, I mean we should have these separate discussions, right? And then there's obviously with sewer replacement and some of the things that we've got, there's obviously opportunity to get government grants or something, because we're gonna have to do it anyway. So you may as well. It doesn't matter if you have a 50% share, if you already have to do it, right? Certainly, it's like a nightmare for the businesses that are there to interrupt them, and we got to do it in a controlled fashion, right? But I'm not sure what the priority looks like for what we do there. Half the side, the sewer, then the other side, I don't know. But it'll cause a big nightmare jam, right? Log jam of people and cars, and we tear that stuff out, it's gonna be a problem. Interesting.
All right, so next steps. So we've worked our way through the preliminary engineering, especially for that first block there. So now we're at the point of the phase one construction document engineering contract approval, and that includes the structural engineering, the detailed structural engineering, and the geotechnical consultant work. Then we would, as we're proceeding through that work, we'll obviously be having progress meetings with staff. Pontiac Trail intersection, Dennis mentioned it briefly. There is some coordination with Oakland County there for the signalization. Then the intent is that we work through that process, culminating in a bidding package that we would have ready for bidding in the winter, roughly, say, a year from now. Because of the challenges with pricing these days, we have definitely found it's critical to be able to bid these projects in the winters. Didn't used to be that way, but man, it is now. And so we really have to target our timing such that we are going to be able to put it on the streets, in the winter months, January, February, March, for sure. If we don't, we run into timing issues, we run into cost issues, and it becomes even more challenging than it will be. So that's the summary of the presentation. Again, I'm just standing in for Brad. He would have done a better job than I did, but
You did great, Brad.
you were stuck with me tonight. So, does anyone have any questions at this point?
I've got a couple, actually. So this is phase one. Do we have like a master plan of different phases? Is it just down to Liberty, and is phase two the next block? Is phase three the following block?
So phase one has been determined. The future phases have not.
But the total project
general thought
is
process, right?
the general.
The entire project would extend to Hillcroft.
Okay.
Let me add to that so it's useful. Some years ago, they've been talking about doing this for years downtown. So we did do some preliminary reviews, and believing that it could all be done at one time, or at least all approved at one time. And we weren't talking about phases, we were talking about do it. And that had to do with the DDA trying to fund it with maybe help from the city, because downtown development, that's what it is, downtown development.
Right.
That then slowed down when they was trying to put the 3 stories or 4 stories on the property. That slowed it down, but that was all factored into a kind of a conceptual plan. But we didn't have any concrete plans, no engineering plans, but we did do the survey. I think we surveyed everything down it, so we
Yeah, I've
got
seen
that part. So that's as close as we're gonna get to to answer the question. But conceptually, so we kind of reverted back to what can we do at a minimum to get it going and still address the ADA problem.
Yes, sir.
And that's why we ended up calling it Phase 1 now. Initially, the concept was let's just all get it going and get it all approved, but that doesn't seem to be the way we're gonna be able to do it right now. But we need to address what we're now calling Phase 1. It wasn't initially called Phase 1.
Okay.
It was called Downtown Project. And so we're at Phase
Just broke
1,
it up.
and we can deal with our ADA problem. You as a council and the DDA board's got to talk about what else you might, you talked about sewers and stuff underground, but this is also the time to talk about what you can make them do in terms of facades downtown.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that from you, Mayor, every time we talk.
Yeah,
The
and I think, Dennis,
facades,
you look at that, and it's kind of, we're putting a cart in front of the horse, we're trying to run the horse at the same time as a cart. If we got to do the development and the material choice and the facade style, and we get that in the basic code done first, because we want to tack that onto this, right? If you're going to do it, make it look the same, make it look like a downtown, make it inviting, get the glass and the 70% glass requirement instead of, we recommend you do what would be nice and turn that into a must and a shall, and figure out when these things really need to be coordinated. I mean, unfortunately, I've been doing $500 million projects and buildings and mostly ugly factories, but I'd love to see our detailed analysis of what that cost estimate is. And I understand, but if we're not going to go throw money at this, if we think it's a half of approach to make it look kind of okay, right? Because I have a few things. If you can you go to the picture of the final product that we like, the theory product that we like there? If you look, we've taken out the ability to turn right on Pontiac Trail, right? And you're going to be one lane only with the traffic we've got there. It's going to back all the way up to Leon, right? I'm not sure. I almost wonder if we should take all the parking spots out. You know what I mean? You look at that, and that corner's now dead, and it's usually lined up with 3, 4, 5 cars. And the people that are backing out of the parking spots there are kind of interfering with people getting by. I'm just not sure. I don't know. What's up to you guys? What kind of conceptually do you think? Because that bothers me. And even the bottom part where, I mean, we're leaving those up there, but there's one in front of the liquor store and really Tiki Hut that we're taking out. That's kind of really nice. It was kind of nice for them to have it, but we're leaving the other ones on the other side that I'm just not sure.
Can I add to that
Yeah.
comment? I agree with you with the turn signal, and I kind of voiced that concern when this was first presented. Overall, right, we've heard from the businesses and residents, we do need some parking. I think this is a good discussion starter to get, the new council up to speed, right, so we can get everybody's opinion on the direction that we want to go. Some of my feedback in the past on this, and it was approached, was the ADA compliance. I think the point where it was at kind of splits between the property on the left and the Walled Lake Tavern because they have the access on the backside. Having some certification in ADA or, teachings and stuff like that was important for me to make sure that we had something that had equal access. The planter boxes, as we know, we want a walkable downtown, we want a movement, we want bicycling to happen, right? We want travel to happen. So it was important for me to make sure, somebody that's traveling with a baby carrier on the back can make it through our downtown. At least this right here, right, kind of chokes off the north and south side. If we get to a point because we don't have room, like Wixom does for their downtown, let's at least have something on one side of the street so we're not choking that travel and that
Intersection, yeah.
access that goes through there. If the trees have to come down because we're putting planter boxes in and there's overhead power lines, we need to take another step and see, can those power lines be moved and finally fix that portion that we know needs some help
Yeah.
going through the downtown. So
The power lines look like crap anyway. Why don't we just put them underground?
yes. So we need to have those discussions to blend this in. I agree with, trying to make this work for heading down the path, but, we do have to start somewhere, and we need to have some further discussion and include the businesses and the property owners in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, because it really will choke them off to be able to do any business so we look at where it's like a 5 or 6 day during a time when nobody's here.
Yeah, I think we've heard loud and clear that we need to do something with downtown, but more discussions need to happen to make this come to
Yeah,
fruition.
if you do 3 weeks of tearing up their area, we'll kill a business, right? That bakery will be gone. It's just, if you got to do it in a term where it's like a very short duration spurts of work, right? And then not try and like do it all at the same time, and pick the right time frames to do it, right? It might suck. It might be during a Christmas week or where you got to do some demo, but it'd be bad to do it when they have their business in the middle of the summer, right? We don't want to do anything during their summer months. Interesting. Anybody else? Dennis?
Actually, I have one more question. So again, I'm kind of behind on this. So has funding been approved for this already? Or, so this has not been funded yet? This is just all preliminary?
Yes, sir.
Got it. That's what I.
One of the things, it kind of answers your question, is from administrative standpoint, also from the DDA standpoint, and I've served with them too, is the DDA as a board is going to need to know that this majority wants to move forward. That doesn't mean you have to decide where the sidewalks are going to go, but moving forward, there's things that can be done, instructions can be given to the city attorney and to engineers to move forward. By doing that, then we go back to the DDA and say, this is what we want. DDA's got to a budget, and decide what we're going to fund. But we need some preliminaries, decisions. We would be useful if the board said, look, we're moving ahead with it, and what is it we can move ahead with? Well, I think we can move ahead with instructing the city attorney to acquire the property, those 2 or 3 feet in front of the businesses that we're going to need, because somewhere down the line, you're going to need it. And that's not ever going to change. We need to acquire access, whether it's an easement or he can tell you what we're going to call it. But we need to do that. Secondly, we need to talk about putting together the package for funding it just from the general fund, and or if we're going to do a special assessment district. I'm not going to ask you to do that tonight. I think you need to think about that. Special assessment district means it answers your question. If we do it that way, then the people downtown in the businesses pay for that. Now, they don't pay for it tomorrow. That would be, if you did it, it would be spread like a mortgage. It would be spread over, so many years, 20, 30, whatever it is. But a special assessment district could pay for that if the board and the city council agreed. They could do that so we don't deplete all of the funds. If you're talking about $1 million project, then we probably nowadays we have that money in net position or fund balance, if you will.
Right.
But you don't want that to evaporate. And then, you guys, many people call it the rainy day fund. We want to keep it if we can. So funding it by a special assessment district is also an option, but the voted council has to approve that. But what you can do is say, let's move ahead on having that process in place. And that would require getting the legal descriptions and all of the work to get ready to do what you're ultimately going to fund. Now, and also recommend at some point you have a joint meeting with perhaps the DDA, board, the council, DDA, and even a joint meeting with the planning commission. All of those boards should get some input from the city council, because they're not all watching this meeting tonight.
Right.
So you don't have to make decisions on where the sidewalk or the planter's going to go, but you do need to give us instructions about, are we moving ahead or are we killing it? Are we going to wait another, and what I get from everybody is we need to move ahead. But it doesn't mean we got to spend $1 million.
And we like spend more.
Well, that's good if you can make it better. So
I look at this, and from my perspective, everybody, one, we got to figure out what we want things to look like. And that's that first moratorium we threw out, right? We got to make sure we have something that's going to be consistent. And we certainly have to go, where can we get matching funds, right? Because I'd really like to see matching funds if there's grants that are available. We got to get with the Drain Commission, right? What are we doing with the sewers there, right? And is there anything we could do? Are there any quick wins we could do that would start help this infrastructure? I don't know, but I'm not really sure I like the plan. I like the concept. Concept's got to happen. It's the right thing to do. You got an ADA problem as well. Concept's there. I'm not sure I would say start going crazy and doing engineering work until we have a concept that we like. And then with the lot that they bought down the end, probably want to do that first. Right? So
Well,
you like what you see on the side.
Consistent with what you're saying and consistent with what I'm saying, if you believe that we should go, and I do too, we look for funding. You can't get funding unless you have a project, a concept,
I got it.
engineering. So
Right.
that's all the more reason why we need to decide at some point, move ahead,
Yeah.
and that was engineering and all that. So if we have any kind of concept plan, I don't think you have to decide exactly how the sidewalk's going to look and all
Right.
that. I think you guys got plenty of time to do that.
Yeah,
but
that's
we
a good point. We went through that with Decker Road, right?
same thing. You got to have a
So
plan.
Decker Road was making sure you had funding lined up, at least from a portion from our share to go after a grant, and then having the engineering done, because we skipped over cities that didn't have that to be able to get
I
the
think
grant
Brent,
funding.
Yeah.
Right?
Brent,
We've learned our lesson there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brent was with me. It was Brent. He was with me when we went. They call it the Federal Aid Commission, and there's a city. I've been pocketing the money. All you guys get angry, but I put it in my pocket and keep it for the city. So he was at the meeting. We went to the meeting, and I think it was Pontiac. They couldn't meet their match. They didn't have the money to meet a match because they only give you money from the Federal Aid Commission if you got a match. They couldn't meet it. And I'd already made the guy who ran the show angry because I asked him, why don't you fixing our roads? And I went, Brent was there, a couple people there, but I put it was Brent. And he came up, they could give it to two people. I said, we'll spend our money, we'll match it, we'll do it. Except there was somebody else. And he couldn't fund both of them. And so the guy who had written nasty letters about me saying, they're not doing our roads, I was complaining. I went, you don't like me a lot. And he did the right thing. He said, it's a road committee. You remember? He said, we need to fund both of these. We don't have the money in this year's budget. Let's reach into our fund balance and fund them both. And he did that. And then he did that. And he remembered that we had butted heads. He made that motion. I got what Brent and I went for. I think some other people were there too. He walked straight to me and he looked at me and I said, I kneel to you, because he knew that he could have killed our project, but he didn't. And we did I think it was, how much was it? $1 million something.
Yeah, it was $1 million plus.
You remember? But Brent was there. So that's, my experience with Brent is really good. But you have to be ready. Not only did they do the engineering, you got to have the money, you got to have the match. And
But
we
I think you're
can't.
talking about the engineering. I think it would be good for us to see this itemization of this 1.1 million, so we know, okay, if this is the next step, how much is this next step gonna cost?
Right.
So we can get that moving.
But to get to that point, right, we have to have more detailed designs, right? I think we all know that the concept is great overall, the bigger picture, but the micro picture, we do need the better feedback. I do like the topic of bringing in the DDA, the planning, and council together so we can have that meeting and have
I think that's an absolute. I don't know where we go to get all three of them together, but we'll set the fire station up. I know Jason's just dying to do that.
Polishing floors.
We can do it again. What I would, since I'm very encouraged by the listening and the talking the mayor and council is doing today, I would like maybe a vote saying instruct the city attorney to begin preparations on acquisition of what we need down there, because that no matter what goes on in the future, you're going to need that. We also need to identify the properties for a special assessment. Not that you're going to vote for that, but we need to do all of that. Most of that I can do without an instruction or vote with the council, but the city attorney, he doesn't work for me. He works for you. So those are the things we can move ahead on. And be ready when it's time. And if we do some quick meetings, I don't mean to set up more meetings than you want to go to, but I think it's a good idea to meet with the DDA. I think it's a good idea to meet with planning, and so you need to get that going before the snow dries up, as soon as you can.
Yeah, unfortunately, Don, I honestly think the moratorium is like super hot. And it leads into this project as well. Because we're not going to tear up those people's property and do all that work and leave their facades looking like they look.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean? So if we get what do we want to look like instead of, honestly, guys, it looks like somebody threw up on a plan and spit out a bunch of buildings that don't have any commonality or uniform. That is not a downtown development, right? So we do that first, right? Man, I think it'd be easy for us to go negotiate getting some of the variances or property usage of some of the buildings that they own that, and we want to have a couple feet. I think that'll be easy, especially if you combine it with, we want to make your property look really nice, right? We want to do facade grant, right? We want to share the money with you, and then do it all at once. I mean, I don't know what everybody wants to do, but right now, the way our ordinances are set up, it's like someday we want to look like a nice city. And I'd rather have them say, this is how we're going to look like a nice city, and we're going to do it now. And then combine this all together, right? And figure out what it's going to take. But going forward and starting to work on that, I think you got to do the first part. What do we want to be? What does it want to look like? Otherwise, we'll just be polishing a sow's ear, right? Anybody?
I hear your concerns, and I respect that. I think if we take a look going down Maple, right, you have to bring some improvements to drive change. We've seen the improvements that have been made at City Hall, in the park next to us, and we've seen some improvements that are at least down the corner of Maple. And over the years, right, that has brought more improvement through that stretch of area.
Yeah.
I think it does have an effect if we make improvements and help drive some change too. I do caution about when we get into, facade look. I agree grants could help if there's a possibility to make that, but changing ordinances and then asking people that own property, we've seen that in the past where it doesn't quite work out so well. My concern is that might slow down making improvements to that area, and I don't want that to go on for too long.
Yeah. Certainly not too long, but
Years. I don't want to go. I don't want to go years.
I don't want to go I don't want to go 6, 8, 9 months without making a decision, right? I want to get it going fast, but I want to know, what does it want to be? Because that changes a little bit of the equation, right? Certainly from an engineering standpoint. Again, I'm not sure I like taking half the road out and not being able to turn on Pontiac Trail. I mean, it's very dear to my heart. I can't get out of my driveway today, right? And it'd probably be even worse. Casey, I don't know about you. You're right there too. You wait 15 minutes to back out of your driveway 3 or 4 times a day.
Patience is a virtue.
Yeah. And if they're not, they're running past you at 90 miles an hour as well. But blocking off those ends there, is that the right thing to do? Is that really the right look we want? Is that the right thing for traffic? I mean, did we do a TIS study or anything? Do we fake a TIS study?
We haven't reached the point of the traffic study. So we're still.
I would think if you conceptually want to block off a few feet of travel and intersection, the TIS study will tell you, is that going to be a problem? Right? That's kind of before the engineering work. Right now we're conceptual. And conceptually, we have to do something. Is that it? I don't know. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's what we want to do. And I think you got to have a little bit of the engineering behind it.
Members of this council, if that goes, will be affected by that conceptual plan. 4 members. Look at whose traffic is going to be in front of their house. All of you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're close down there. You got to think that through. Again, I think the conversation is going great tonight. I want to leave here. I'm getting encouraged with an instruction to the attorney and administration to move ahead with preparing at least those documents that might be needed to do what we'll do to fund it, and/or we won't be able to even apply for a grant unless we have a lot more than what we got. So we're going to have to spend engineering designs at some point to be able to even get funding. You can't just say we want to do that. So you got to show them. And by moving ahead now, in some of this area, we may be able to show them early on to try to get funding for downtown development, as you guys have said. So some action needs to happen as sooner, maybe not tonight if you don't feel comfortable, but I believe that we're going to have to do that downtown. We're not going to lose anything as a city if we acquire access to the property, because those buildings are not going to move. So you're always going to need that in the future. So won't be a waste, but if you move ahead on that and give the instructions to staff so that the record shows that we're all on the same page. That's why we're doing this again.
Right.
I believe that everybody is on the same page in terms of doing something. But you guys can still decide later how it's going to look.
Right.
And I think that the discussion went well, and we can go, we can leave here with the idea that we're moving ahead. We're not going to be spending a lot of money. You'll get to vote on it sooner or later, but and it could be as early as the next meeting. But I need to know, or the staff needs to know, city attorney needs to know, we're doing something. We're moving ahead. If we leave here tonight without having done that, then we're going to lose a month. One more month.
Which I think is one of the things that should be on old business, which is you can't get anything done if we keep meeting once a month.
Once a month is enough.
Disagree, right? I don't know. I guess I will. I'd like to make a motion that.
Mr. Mayor, I think you would request the motion, right?
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I'd like to request a motion. Sorry. That we approve conceptually that we need to do something downtown, right? And that the city attorney can prepare whatever he needs to acquire some of the property access. Are we acquiring the property, or we're just going to get an easement?
Easement? Well, at a minimum, you're going to need to acquire public right-of-way for the sidewalks.
Right.
So right now, you don't own the whole sidewalk. You own
Right.
part of the sidewalk. There's several feet in front of the buildings that is privately owned. So what I'm taking away from the discussion is you want to own the entire area where the current sidewalk is, or have a public right-of-way for sidewalk over where the current sidewalk is. I would probably, at a minimum, you're going to need that. It looks like it's going to take it right up to the edge of the building, so I don't know that there's going to be any additional temporary construction easements. I suppose we can deal with those further down the road once we get finalized plans and closer to construction to deal with temporary construction easements if you need some temporary access to some properties
Right.
in order to do the work. But as far as the permanent public right-of-way, I think we have a pretty good idea as to what we're going to need at this point to go ahead and move forward with that.
Right. We're not purchasing. We're going to seek.
Well, when you acquire a public right-of-way, it has the practical effect of ownership. Basically, nobody can do anything there other than the city using it as a sidewalk. So what you call it is if it's an easement or right-of-way or ownership, it's
That's why I said
the legal effect will be the same.
I can't imagine us paying a property owner to fix their sidewalk and possibly engage with them to try and make their facades look better, and that the downtown becomes a unified. I can't imagine we'd have to pay. So I would say, yes, we can go forward with some type of engineering.
People are, whenever you approach people about this, they always, I agree with you, but they see dollar signs. They see, all right, I got something you want, so you're going to have to pay for it.
Mayor, we can't imagine that.
I know.
We had to take the property, the city, and the city attorney, and I did the negotiation around the school over off of Pontiac Trail and Decker. There was no sidewalk for years. You lived here when there was no sidewalk. There was no sidewalk coming around the corner, so the kids would have to walk in the street. Well, it was like that was an easy move. We're going to put a sidewalk. So we knocked on the door, and there's a lot of people Yeah, signed it over because they wanted a sidewalk. And then one really wonderful person that said, no, we don't want you to mess up our rock garden. I'm the rock. They actually stood here and said they have affection for the rocks they got there. And I'm not making that up. So I had to negotiate. That's the way it works under the law if you're going to do a taking. And it was clear that the last offer you make is the starting point when you go to court, you know. So I think Miss Pesta was with me, and I'm going like, okay, that's it. And she's like, why did you quit? Because it's about the money. They're not going to give us anything. And I think we end up spending $10,000 to put a sidewalk to improve their property.
Spend more money to put a sidewalk.
To do that sidewalk. And I'm not sure, I think Brent might have did the engineering, or I know Boss did. So we paid $10,000 and they went around the rocks. You know, if you look at the sidewalk, they still got their rock garden, but it was about the money from day one.
Yeah.
So yes, we can imagine they will want money. Yeah. The issue was how much. They have a right to do that and all that, but we don't have a choice. If we're going to fix it, we're going to have to acquire the right of way. So, but that you can never say that they won't want money, because I thought so too. I thought they'd all jump up and go, like, yeah, we'll put a sidewalk.
Right.
No, they wanted 10 grand.
So we look at that from the art of the deal and figure out how to make that happen. Because I don't see us buying somebody's 2 feet in front of we'll just stop there and we'll tell them they have to.
Well, sometimes we have
then
less.
we'll give them a special assessment if we have to do it for ADA reasons, right? I mean, like there's a way to do this.
Don't say it out loud, but yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to. So Van, I think we can probably all say whatever we think we need to do there legally, right? What do we need to obtain? If we got to go through and start drafting that stuff up, yes. But I don't want to see. I want to have like a couple opportunities to explain to the property owner what they're holding up, right? If they want money, right?
Yeah,
but I can understand
it starts with, there's a process you go through. It starts with just contacting them directly to see if you can just work it out, you know.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the majority of the people are pretty easy to work with and won't give you a lot of pushback, and they'll actually be excited about what you want to do. But there's always going to be one or two who are going to, be difficult, and that's just the way it goes.
The South Side business owners have talked about, yes, we will actually help do some of the sidewalk funding, right? They would actually pay for some of the sidewalk to get it to look really nice. But again, there's some shared things that we could do down there and make that really nice. I don't want to partially do this and make it look like we did something, but it's really half-assed it, right? And I certainly don't want to be getting somebody to think it's a windfall for them to give a 3-foot easement to get a new sidewalk, right? Because I really think it's an easement rather than it is anything else, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Well, but they agree to let us do the sidewalk right up to the front of their building when they're doing their facade, right? So I guess let me go rephrase it again. I guess we can look for a motion to start the assessment of what you need to do from the city attorney's position to figure out how to use the property in front of it and get the authority to do some sidewalk improvements, right? I don't want to approve what we've got conceptually as an idea because I'm not sure I like it.
I don't need that. I think you got it already. I think we simply need,
and a
you're
committee.
instructing the city attorney to move ahead on the possible acquisition. It can even be that of property necessary to make
let's not say
improvements downtown.
acquisition.
It can be that generic, as long as the
Let's not say
record.
acquisition.
That's your motion.
It's authority to use their property to facilitate the downtown improvement plan phase 1. And maybe a committee that we just talked about, to establish a committee, Dennis, have them set up a couple meetings of a committee that is interested in what we really want to do there, right?
I think you do that.
The owners, the
with
DDA,
boards.
and our
You've got
house.
3 boards. If that's not a committee, I don't know what is, but maybe.
And the I would like to know from the Drain Commission, which ones do we want to do there? What's the right way to do it?
You got to get buy-in from the planning commission. You got to get buy-in. Planning commission, DDA, conceptually, the DDA are the ones that are the business owners who should have a big say. Planning commission, that's a combination of business owners and, so, but you need to buy in from those three groups. You can narrow that down afterward, but in terms of input and come up with a better plan and concept. But I think we've already decided, I think you guys have decided that we're moving ahead, at least on the administrative part of it.
Right.
And without spending a lot of money, but, and I'll control that. We won't be spending a lot of money, but we will move ahead on and give you more information at the next meeting about what we can do. It's going to take that long to get us where we need to be. It'll take that long to get caught up. So we'll be able to report at the next meeting, and maybe even Brent, his team, will be able to give us some numbers before then and get them out to you guys on the email and otherwise. So,
Brent, my only other question for you is, how much did we spend on this? What you've done so far? What was the dollar amount for the conceptual idea? You don't have to answer it now, but I'd really like an understanding of that.
Yeah, it was.
I think I know.
Yeah, it was the conceptual and the preliminary for phase 1, plus the conceptual for the remainder.
Right.
And that included the downtown study, right?
Yeah, all the survey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's still on the table, right? We'll get a committee together with all the interested and necessary parties to start talking about it. We want to do it. We'd like the city attorney to begin that planning of what we need to do to be able to redo somebody's property sidewalk in a downtown area.
Okay.
Is that enough?
yeah, what we're looking for is really simple. That's it. What you got is fine. Acquisition, move ahead. We'll be able to report to you. We're not going to be coming up with final plans. You guys get to do all that after you meet with your boards. So, but we can move ahead, and the record shows you told us to move ahead. It's not, we're acting alone, the city attorney.
Yeah, I like
You're
that.
telling us, move ahead so we can be ready if we make that final call. That's all.
I'll make that motion. Do I need to restate all that?
Nope.
Did you get that?
Jen's already typed it
Jen, you got
twice.
it? I'll happily second it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Arnold made the best motion.
Thank you.
Is Locke online, you said? Mayor Gunther, Locke is now online in attendance, so I'm going to include her in roll call. Locke?
Yes.
Thank you. O'Rourke?
Yes.
Shinzing? Woods?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Arnold? Gunther?
I was going to say no, but yes.
No.
I want to copy you last week, Case.
Motion passed.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did what we needed to do, and that is move ahead. You guys get to sort it all out, but that was a bigger, more important motion than you might realize to let us move ahead, because we've been working on this for a very long time, but I wasn't going to move ahead without that vote.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And thank you for the discussion, your feedback. It was certainly very valuable to us, and we look forward to moving forward as well.
Thank you, Brent.
We don't want to do this once. We don't want to do half and then it's just.
Sure.
Yeah, it's.
I think the mayor pro tem heard some of this stuff before. I'm not sure if we brought what we brought to the planning commission before, but I think he's sort of. How long we've been working on this, Mayor?
Yeah, number.
Yeah. So.
It would have been half the time. It would have been half the time, Dennis. It would have been half the time if you did 2 meetings a month.
We're good.
It's just nice to see it moving forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank you, Brent.
Okay. We are into audience participation. Anyone?
Come on up and speak into the podium. Name and address, please. Thank you.
My name is Scott Bottolowski. I live at 539 Wynwood Circle, walking distance, but not tonight. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present. I'm a member of the clergy, and I'm a constitutional coach with the Patriot Academy. I have 3 short items. This year, we celebrate America 250. I mentioned this to Mr. O'Rourke at one point. He suggested I go ahead and present this here. There are many activities going on throughout the country to celebrate this amazing milestone. As a constitutional coach, we are endeavoring to work with our local governments to have a local celebration. You may have already have something in motion. If not, that's why I'm bringing it up. But after everything I've heard, I don't know if I should even be bringing it up at this point. But
No, it's an amazing milestone, my friend, and
It is
it's
an
something
amazing
we have to
milestone, yes.
really, really have to embrace. I know, Dennis, you guys have talked about it, and I know we've talked about it at the DDA as well.
The flag's
So-
coming.
Yeah, flags are coming. So,
Flags are
yeah,
coming.
we got to do something nice. I mean, it's an amazing milestone for the,
Yeah.
you know, for the country, so.
well, while my work and my schedule would not allow me to take a lead role, I'm happy to contribute. One way I can contribute is as a constitutional coach, I have several video presentations that I can make available to the community at no charge. These are not your boring history classes, names, dates, facts, figures. These are fun, entertaining, and very educational. I would recommend the Biblical Citizenship in Modern America class. It shows the biblical foundations of our nation, how to be best citizens, and delves into the biblical foundations in our Declaration and Constitution. Another would be the Straight Constitution Alive class. Some of these segments are in the Biblical Citizenship videos, but this focuses primarily on the founding documents. The primary presenters for your information are Rick Green, America's constitutional coach and founder of Patriot Academy, David and Tim Barton of Wall Builders. They are the foremost historians on America's founding, housing over 100,000 original source documents, letters, and more from our founding era in their Wall Builders library. The first guest that they bring up in the Biblical Citizenship class is Kirk Cameron, presenting the monument to the forefathers, documenting how to maintain liberty, a monument that most aren't even aware of. And for the 250th anniversary, we've developed a new short class called Rebuilding Liberty with Rick Green, Charlie Kirk, and the Bartons. I can do these in person if someone would donate a location. I can run them free of charge, workbooks if desired, or $20. The final item I believe you've already addressed. I just brought a bunch of people to the swearing in for their civic education, and something that happened there was pretty embarrassing. So I thought maybe there's nothing in place, but from what I've read from the agenda and from the minutes, you apparently do have something in place, and I'm already over my 3 minutes. So I was going to make sure we would have you do have something in place, and I believe you do. Also, I wanted to mention your efforts to reach out to that individual and provide understanding, as stated in minutes, is commendable. Also, speaking about what you said in the beginning, I appreciate you giving me a couple of extra here.
Yeah, just keep going.
You
I'll cut
mentioned-
you off when I get tired.
Yeah, you mentioned young people don't understand how government's run. That is one of the things that Patriot Academy is doing for younger generation, bringing them to workshops to show them what government is about and how government's run. So that's another great aspect of the Patriot Academy. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Do you have any questions?
No, I kind of love the idea. If we could maybe work with the library, that'd be a great setup. Like I said, do we really need a video on how our government works, right? Because people just don't get it. They don't understand.
Sadly, Mayor Gunther,
yeah.
you're correct.
Yeah. I don't even think we teach like civics anymore at school.
Nope.
Most people can't even balance their checkbook, right?
Not taught either in
Yeah.
school anymore.
Yeah.
No, Mayor, I love that idea, possibly working with our awesome library.
Library, yeah.
That's a great idea.
Are you speaking in terms of maybe presenting one of these classes? That's what
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
thinking?
we'll provide you a place to do it. I don't
Somebody
see
said
that
there
as a
was
problem.
librarian here?
Yeah, she's over in the
Yeah,
corner.
she's in the corner. It'd be a great setup. You know, if you got video links, we'll put the video links on the website. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm running a biblical citizenship class right now, totally Zoom. There's about 60 participants around the state.
Excellent. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coming out, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Rourke.
Any other audience participation? No? Mayor's report, I kind of did it already, but I wanted to do a little bit more. You know, we you know, the way the city works, we've got the city manager takes all the assignments, right? And he divvies it out to the employees. And then the city council, we just give direction and point at stuff. And you know, there's kind of a strange thing. I did a few things, and I sent a couple emails, and the staff did a great job, and they got most of them done. But like one of them fell through the cracks, and to me, I thought it was a really simple one. But I had emailed a request. I think it was December 2nd. I said, look, I've never been in any supplier
or organization that I've worked for, where when you walk in, there's not a very clear organizational chart up on the wall that shows a person's picture and their name and who that reports to them. And I thought it would be really nice if we could get an org chart, right, electronically, and maybe it exists, but I still don't have it. And one that would be somewhere here in the council chambers. We got a lot of open walls. It'd be a great thing to put up. Everybody's picture on the wall and who's who in the zoo is what we used to call it, right? And I've never seen one that's not been done before. And I look at some of the other communities around us. You walk into Novi and it's pretty well prominently displayed, right? Farmington's got the same thing. But I clearly didn't figure out how to get us to have an assignment log of things that we really want to get done. Like I said earlier, there might be a bunch of simple ones that aren't really a high priority, but we don't even have them listed. So we need it. We need that list, and I think it's maybe the directive log, right? But we don't have anything documented, right? We don't have a procedurally documented, codified set of ways that we're supposed to do that.
Mayor, you're asking for an org chart? Like,
Yeah.
correct?
Like electronic org chart,
Correct.
everybody's picture, and I'd really like it on the wall, so any citizen that comes here can see who's who in the zoo. And it shouldn't be a surprise to them.
I believe that's in the master plan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen that document before.
We have organizational charts, they're in the, but I think the mayor's talking about a different kind of, or doing something else different. But we present an organizational chart every budget year. It's in the budget. But that's not, he's looking for something else, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see the
Here's
big deal.
a
Yeah,
picture.
I saw the budget.
Here's a
I didn't-
picture.
I didn't see an organizational chart.
Yeah, I
didn't
think
see
it just listed out some people's
listed
names.
Well,
Right.
his
I saw-
experience as an organizational chart is he puts people, you know. In the public sector, you have a different thing. You have an invasion of privacy concept. I've already had pushback.
Names?
They don't want anybody to put their picture up where they become a target, especially nowadays. You can put mine up, I'm a public official. Public employees have a different privacy right. It doesn't mean that we won't end up doing that, but I wouldn't do that. I
Certainly
would.
don't want their phone numbers.
Well, other people do. You know, I got FOIAs, right? They want everything, and they have privacy rights too. So
Absolutely.
I have to be, yeah, it's different than the public sector. So I have to, issues in those pictures are considered part of the personnel record, if it's subject to FOIA, that kind of thing. So that's why we've never done it. I think that the council can order that done, and we'll probably end up doing that. You can have mine tomorrow. You can take my picture. I'm going to give my high school picture.
Yeah, can we give us a younger one?
No, I'm going to give you mine.
Yeah.
But I have had pushback. I'm not going to go into throw any employee under the bus, but they were not happy about that, and I would expect some sort of grievance or something like that. So I put that to bed. So unless the council votes to do that, I won't be putting up. But here's what you got. If you want to see, we do have departmental pictures that they've volunteered for, so they can't very well complain about that. You follow me? But putting together a special thing that one person can FOIA everybody's name and picture and what their job, and of course their jobs change. We couldn't possibly put my picture up in all the jobs I do. You couldn't do that. You know, you wouldn't, you would take another wall, you know. So you guys decide you want. If you order that up, then we'll put something together.
Yeah, but from a organizational standpoint, who reports to who? It's kind of important.
I'm sorry?
From an organizational standpoint, who reports to who in the zoo? So if you have 7 jobs, that's fine. Just show you has 7 jobs, 8 jobs, 9 jobs. Doesn't matter, right? If you run a baseball team too, put it on there.
We will do whatever the
Yeah.
council votes
So-
for. I mean,
so
that's all.
That's the
The reason I
the
have
thing
never
is,
done that is because of the pushback from the unions and the threat of grievances, and it's just not worth it. I don't need that, but we do have.
interesting, whatever it said in the contract, I think we'll talk about that later. But, so that was kind of the one thing that fell off the list, right? Great job, staff did a great job, did 4 or 5 of the things that I'd written in that email, but not recognizing we should really have a documented procedure where we have asked for a motion for a directive, we put a directive up, we vote on it, and then it's going into a log of, you maybe prioritize it, it's shit I gotta do that I gotta do when I can do it, and maybe you prioritize it and do it differently,
If
but
the council votes to do that, I will assemble the team, we'll take pictures of everybody and put them up on the wall. But that's going to take a vote of the council. I won't do that under my authority because I believe that subjects me personally to whatever lawsuit comes. And I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, from a,
Got it,
privacy-
yeah.
from a privacy standpoint,
Exactly.
I understand you certainly don't want anything to violate somebody's privacy, but I see all the other cities with pictures on their wall and people's names and it's just interesting. Even if it's just a name that tells me who reports to who, I'll go there. Whatever legally we should do, Van, I'll do whatever we want. But I kind of want to know who
All I've
reports to who
told
and
you
is
is
who.
that we've had pushback, and it's not fair for me to throw anybody else under the bus. It's not coming from me.
Right.
You get my picture tomorrow. I'm going to send it to you tomorrow.
I don't want that.
But the
And you
issue
can
is-
send it now that you shaved that
I had
mustache.
pushback from people because they're under attack all the time. As a matter of law, and a matter of case law, the public employees get their picture taken all the time. You can't stop that.
Right.
But telling them that you have to display it on, on the wall, or their job's at stake, then it becomes an issue. And if I'm the guy ordering that up, then I become personally liable for that. And
Right.
I'd rather not do that. I don't know.
So,
We haven't done it in 15 years I've been here, and they never did it before.
yeah, but so really, it's the concept that I'm talking about, which is I thought we would get something. It fell off a list, so it didn't really happen. And I understand, I'm learning. You school me all the time. No particular person on the council can just ask for something to get done. We're supposed to vote on it. We're supposed to put it in a log. What I saw was we don't really have anything that shows us in our code how to do that. And I looked at some other cities, and it's in their ordinances, it's in their council rules, some of it's in their charter. But it definitely lays out how you track it, the deadline, the formal log, prioritizing it. We don't have anything, and I really think we have to, right? Again, you're gonna find with me, I don't believe any organization can run on tribal knowledge, because an organization will die if it's tribal knowledge. It's, that's how we do this, right? Formally document it, put it down. When you get a new city council, it's very easy for us to go on our own and find out what we do and how we do it if it's documented. If it's not, having one meeting a month, you'll never get anything done.
Yeah,
Right?
and just to expand on that, I think we do have that through our budget review. At least I've seen it, right, what the org chart is.
Specifically not the
Yeah.
org chart, Ryan.
Yeah.
It's the thought somebody gave a concept and an assignment that didn't get completed. So the org chart's one thing. That's a separate discussion. But the fact that we don't have any documented way, which I've seen in other cities, in their community code and some of their charters, right? That tells us how to do that. And I really think you've got to document it, because you can't run on tribal knowledge.
The city council's entitled to any of that.
Right.
The city council.
Right.
The issue is you publish it for everybody to attack them on what now is the toxic internet, and that's where the pushback comes from.
Right.
So all you
That's
got to do is vote for it, and we'll do
Dennis,
it. But
Dennis,
you can get
Dennis.
all of their names, you can get all
Dennis,
their pictures.
That's about the particular item. The item I'm really speaking about is we've got to have a way, and everybody has to realize, you want something done, we put it in the log, we vote on it as a directive, we give the assignment to you or to Van formally, and then it goes on a list,
That's true.
right? But it's not documented anywhere. And you're gonna find with me over the next 4 years, unless you get me removed for being an ass, you gotta document how you do things, and it's gotta be codified. Otherwise, it's just tribal knowledge, and tribal knowledge will ruin you, right? It's nice, sometimes it's nice, because then you can kind of tell anybody what you think you want to say how you do it, but if it's not codified, you get no idea. So I look at that, and Dennis, we give you assignments, we could give you an assignment and anything that we really deem it's your responsibility. And same thing with you, Van. But we have to do this so we can get a method, a regular procedure, a method, and a way we're gonna do it, right? So it's another thing. It's, maybe it's not we gotta do to bail the water out of the bottom of the boat when we're sinking, but it's something that has to be done. So I'd like to have somebody raise a motion on that we look at how we can codify the procedure to get directives added. And what do we do in the motion that goes out? How is it explicitly looked? What does it look like? We give a deadline, time, and I think we got a couple examples that you guys have gone through with me, where we want to show what it should look like. You could take those, and we can go forward with that, and then codify it. So to me, it's not the big deal that we missed the org chart, the pictures. Although at some point, I'd still like to see that, because it'd be nice to look up on the wall and know who's who in the zoo, instead of guessing at people's names all the time. But the real issue is, it fell off the list because it was an informal request by one person on council. And we can't work like that, right? It's not the way it's supposed to work. It's got to be recorded, it's got to be voted on, and the assignment goes out.
You can get things done by one vote.
You're absolutely right.
But the person, the person's doing that is me, you know, and so I do things for other people if it's not out of the scope. But if it requires a vote of 4, any 4 does it. I mean, one vote on the council, it can get things done, and it just by phone call, can we get that done? I do it all the time, done it for 15 years. But on the other hand, if another councilman or councilwoman is not going to be good with that, my job is to weigh that out. Okay, bring it to council.
Yeah.
And there are people on the council who don't think it's a good idea to do things. Other people want to do things. And the way you sort that out is you get it on the table, and sometimes that's uncomfortable for a city manager to say, you need to vote on it.
I get it.
But it doesn't change. You have to vote on it. Sometimes it's uncomfortable when the mayor doesn't get what he wants, but he has to get 3 more votes.
Yeah.
I have to get 4. So you're one ahead of me already. So I need 4 votes, you need 3.
Right.
But most of it, you don't need a vote at all. We'll get it done together. So let's travel on that aspect, and it'll work.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that as we go.
Yeah.
But we do need to codify it. We need to write it out. We need to put it in there as the procedure, because everybody else seems to have it in their languages. Right? Yeah, do you have what's the authority? What's the tracking procedure? What's the deadline? You know, where's the formal log? And honestly, we should be, anything that we think we need to do, even if it doesn't get done, if at some point in time when we are so productive and we do such a great job and the city looks gorgeous and there's no problems anywhere, you get to it and you can work on it, right? But it's something that probably needs to be done, and we just need to make sure there's a list, right?
I'm the guy who has to set the priorities, even when the council votes.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't get done as quick as some particular council people want it done, but if it's in the hopper, it usually gets done.
I agree.
It just takes time. One of the things that didn't get done when I wanted it done, and I'll give you an example, because you need one. If you drove around, you saw Christmas lights still up. It's way past Christmas, isn't it? Well, there's a reason for that, and I have to breathe. But we had issues, and they're called snowstorms, so we haven't able to get to that. But the Christmas lights should have been done and would have been done if we didn't have other issues. So they got delayed.
I still have a tree up.
We're always shifting gears. So things that just because it didn't.
I've got a father-in-law in the hospital, so I still have a tree up. We haven't
I don't
made
want
it
to throw him
take it
under the
down.
bus, but he promised to get the Christmas trees done before he went to Hawaii, get the Christmas stuff down. But he didn't anticipate the snowstorm. So there you go. That's it. So a lot of stuff was get done. It just doesn't get done yesterday.
Yeah. That's really kind of the thing. We've got a couple things that I wanted to do. There's a couple things that I think are relatively easy that you two are going to talk about. But I definitely want to get out of here tonight. So, city manager's report. Dennis, anything hot?
No, I want you to move to receive and file the departmental and statistical report, divisional statistic. And the reason you do that, let me just make that clear one more time. Yeah. It's not you're not approving that. That's not what we do. We're asking you to, so the record shows you got it. Then you take a look at it even later or before, and then you ask the questions. Nobody's in a match, and you ask the questions later. Or if it's give us a heads up beforehand, we can have the answer even at a council meeting. But that's why you move to receive and file it. You don't move to receive and approve.
Right.
So that's what it is. And sometimes some people say, well, they don't like that report. Well, we've been doing those reports based on 15 years or longer. And we don't do it because that's what you wanted or we want. That's what other people wanted. And so if that needs to be adjusted, we can take a recommendation and adjust those kinds of reports. And they're not to impress anybody, but that's the system, So we didn't change it. So all you need to do is receive and file. If you got questions, you can call up or you can meet with me or you do it ahead of time or you get them, usually you get them a couple of days ahead of time. The system is we send them in the email, but we also have the hard copies in here. So you're just receiving and filing for that one. Nothing. I do want to bring up something.
I don't know how you have a watercraft accident in December. That's what I want to.
Which,
It's on your report, so, I mean.
Maybe somebody ran into something. Ran into
I don't know which one you're talking about.
I'm just reading the report. There's a watercraft accident in December.
Let's see.
December 2025.
One of those businesses downtown.
Well, so
dropped the boat
somebody
on
fell
the
in somebody fell in the water trying to ride the
I might be coming in just to find out.
snowmobile into the ice.
There's a few idiots out there. They may end up on watercraft with their snowmobiles. It was pretty bad. Honeycomb for a little bit.
I want to bring the chief up to give the report not only to this council, but to the world. We got interesting remarks. So Chief, would you come up and tell them about how good our trained dispatcher from Wall Lake is doing, the dispatcher? So we have a dispatcher who,
I know her. I've had to get keys that have been dropped all over
It's
town.
a guy. He used to be a dispatcher, and he was trained by Wall Lake, and he was a kind of a mediocre employee. And they give him a couple of lessons and stuff like that. And so after he got trained really good, he went to Florida and became a policeman. He's a good friend of our police chief for years. He was a patrolman. The other guy was a dispatcher, and they're best friends. Now tell him how good he's doing now.
Well, he's speaking about Donald Hennessy. We had a Donald Hennessy was from the fire department. That was senior. Junior is going to be sworn in as the police chief for the city of Jupiter, Florida. You guys have been down there. Burt Reynolds' home, very wealthy, interesting community, well-to-do. He started here as a dispatcher in 1998. He was our police employee of the year in 2000. I met him in 2001 when I started for our police department. Kept in contact with him. He became a dispatcher in Jupiter, sent him to the academy, and on Thursday he'll be sworn in as the police chief. Our 122-man police department, man and woman police department, with 35 civilian employees, with a multi-million-dollar budget. So I'll be on a jet airplane tomorrow morning. On the way down, I'm invited to his swearing in.
Wow.
And
very cool.
Yeah,
He's a Wall Lake guy. He was trained here.
Very cool.
Wall Lake has a lot of children. We've got them everywhere. My former finance director is a finance director in another city. Where's it, Pesta? Where's Bartlett's?
Oh, Sandra?
Sandra, she's in Bluefield Hills.
She went up there and making the big bucks because they pay a lot more, but she was we trained her here, sent her to college here. So Wall Lake has a lot of children. They left here after they got their training here, moved on to bigger and better things. So there is something to be learned here, you know.
Paul, if they're throwing anything away down there, make sure you bring it back, okay?
I'll see if they want to get rid of their Bearcat. I'll bring that back.
Excellent. Great. That's great.
Mayor, I'd like your consideration to discuss the budget workshops coming up. We want to get an early start, you know. I'm sure you guys do too if you got the time. But I'm prepared to make the time, day, night, whatever you got, weekends. We've got to have some scheduled real workshops. That means where we can go in and just hobnob. But if they're going to be my workshop, because if they become yours, then you can't move them around. So I have a workshop and you guys show up. We don't talk about anything that would violate the law, but you're going to know what we're doing. You can be able to bring those questions in. So I want to get started as soon as we can.
Absolutely.
Individually, together, any way we want to do it, because I think that's the best way to educate those people who want to know more about the inner workings of what we do. You know, you don't have to do that. Sometimes, it doesn't matter. But it matters if you want it to matter. So we're going to have workshops, as many as you need. We've been doing this for a long time, so we don't typically need a lot of workshops.
Right.
But with the new majority, you get to make some calls and you're going to make some adjustments. You're going to change things. You're going to want it to look different, just like the other discussion we have. And we're open for that. So
Dennis, we don't ever want to interfere with your process. So the way I like to see that is just send us all an invite, optional, right? Have us as an optional member. And if we can attend, we can come. We'll attend.
Yep. Pesta?
Do it whenever you're doing it.
So we just notify, I'll do it, notify this, we're having meetings on Saturday whenever we have them.
Yeah.
Is that good with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if it is, then that's the way to do it. We got no problem with that. But ultimately, you'll have to vote. You know, we're going to have public hearings, so, all of that. And it's probably a healthier way to do it, too. I can meet with sometimes we get more done over a coffee than we do sitting around as a group, and so, all right, then the schedule, Chelsea, we changing anything on the schedule there? We're still good with that schedule?
Yeah, this is.
So that's a preliminary for us, and then if you guys can't make it and we need a special one with me or
Yeah.
with Ms. Pesta, she's the go-to gal in terms of the dollars, but we want to get an early start. We
Yeah.
want to be able to get something to you guys so you can
Absolutely.
work it
Best
out.
thing, and I don't know about anybody else, but best thing for me is throw out a meeting notice if you don't have a problem with us being there as optional attendees. And I run my calendar crazy, right? So if it's not on the calendar, it's forgotten about. Like having a directive and not having it on a blog.
You need to stop.
I just like to prove myself right anytime I get a chance.
Give the break,
Go ahead, Dennis. What else you got?
Give
City
me a whole
Manager, I'd
break.
like to motion to receive and file.
Thank you. Second.
Whizzle second.
Thank
Wizzle
you.
second.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Shenzing,
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Thank you. Gunther.
Yes.
Great.
Dennis, anything else?
I'm good. For now,
Okay.
I'm encouraged to hear about your PUD stuff, so.
Any correspondence?
We had the email that you already addressed,
Yep.
I believe.
Yep. And attorney's report.
Okay. First item is city boards and commissions. We've got 4 new council members. 3 out of 4 of you served on boards and commissions, other boards and commissions at the city. We've lost several council members who were previously on boards and commissions. So we've had a bit of a shakeup on our boards and commissions, and we have a number of vacancies that need to be filled so that we can continue to do business. So what I did is I just kind of went through each one of the boards and commissions individually, just briefly, told you, the number of members that need to be on each one, the extent to which elected or appointed officials can serve on each of those boards and commissions, and then any other relevant membership considerations. So the memo, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. There are different requirements for different boards, different commissions, and it's primarily just for your reference purposes so that you understand what's required and how to go about and who you need to appoint.
So nominations you just mentioned ZBA. So why don't we do that in the middle of your report? You have a problem with that?
No. If you have members that you're prepared to nominate and the council is prepared to vote on, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I nominate Giovanni Johnston for a zoning board of appeals position. Giovanni's been on the parks. He's interested in getting more involved in the city's politics, and he's a outstanding applicant. So if I get a motion.
O'Rourke will make the motion to nominate Giovanni Johnson for zoning board of appeal. Zoning board, we say, correct?
Yeah, zoning board of appeals.
Zoning board of appeals.
Shenzing will second.
Jennifer, roll call.
Yes. Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Shenzing.
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes.
Thank you.
We probably should have made you stand up. Also, did Joey show up?
Jory?
Did we get a hold of Jory?
So, this is something else I want to talk about. So yes, Mr. Scrivens is interested and went to drop his application off yesterday, and unfortunately, he did not bring money for the notary. So he is going to come back tomorrow. But I'm wondering if I can ask a request right now, or if we need to push this back to the end of the meeting. What I'd like to do is have a quick.
You can put him on now.
Yeah. Well, I would have to question. I understand we're charging for notaries, but to apply for a job in the city, I'm not sure we should be charging our own people for a notary to become a.
That's actually where I'm going.
Yeah.
Is what I'd like to do. I agree that there should be a charge for notary, because I think if it's free, it could become very overwhelming for the staff. However, citizens of Walled Lake who are applying for commission.
For free jobs.
Yeah, that if we could waive that for them as a courtesy and encouragement, I would appreciate it. The other reason too is it will.
I didn't know
help speed
anything
up
about
nominations
fee
and
for notary,
application
appoint
processes.
him,
So
nominate.
would we need to make a motion on this, or is this something that administratively? we
Mayor
just
makes the
remove?
nomination, you vote on him, and he's on
Yeah, he's
the
talking
board.
about
the
yeah.
waiver for.
The waiver for a notary to sign when he's
There's no
applying
waiver,
for a
he
free
comes in
job.
and will notarize it.
He did, and they didn't, so.
I don't know how that happened. I can't tell you.
Can we get clarification on the requirement for that? Is it
I don't
required?
know.
Can you state that again, please?
Can we get clarification if that's required or not?
The application requires a notarized signature.
The application requires a notary, but it doesn't
It
require
requires
them
a
to be charged.
signature, right?
Signature to
No,
be
it is
notarized.
required
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
a charge right now. I have
Yeah.
two examples of people who have dropped off
So-
their applications, and I support the city. They'd go ahead and attempt to charge them for that. That's okay. That's part of the policy. What I'm asking today is we waive any notary fees for citizens of Walled Lakes who are applying for commission positions. That's all. All the other ones, yes, they can.
Absolutely.
Because I think it'd be a daunting task for the administration to have to do notaries all day. But for people applying for our commissions, I think we should waive that.
I don't see a problem with somebody making a motion to get that done.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's necessary, but we would waive that, but I think I'm still a notary. I haven't notarized anybody.
Yeah.
Ms. Pesta,
I'll notary for free, you know, so I don't know
much
how
does it
that
cost
happened, but yeah, the
for a
motion
resident
wouldn't hurt,
to
so,
come and get,
you know, that,
have that $5? I'm happy to make that motion or second.
$10 for non-resident.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm happy to second or first that motion. I didn't recall what it was.
Yeah. So either one, so we had a motion and a second.
Yes, okay.
I don't think we need a roll call, or we could.
No, not if it's uniform, it's up to you.
Yeah, we're all good? Yeah, it's silly.
Yeah.
Okay, that solves one problem, and then I think we're gonna do it anyway. Jory's not here, right? But Jory, he had actually come to probably 5 of our council meetings, just to get an understanding of what we did, how we did it, and he actually he's reached out to me, he's reached out to Dennis, I know that. I don't know, Jamie, if you were on there at all or no, but he's a very talented individual, and he wants to learn more. And we always talked about it. ZBA is kind of a limited time commitment, and you get to learn about all the stuff, the ordinances of the city. It becomes a little bit interesting because you end up knowing the ordinances better than some other people, right? So I'd like to nominate Jory Scrivens to be on the ZBA, and obviously he'll get his application turned in, but
Mayor, your nomination would be nominate him contingent upon him completing, or you nominate him and then their motion to approve would be contingent
Right.
upon completing the application.
Sure.
And that'll do what we needed to do.
sure, I have no problem with that. Anybody? Motion to
Asking for
approve Jory Scrivens to the zoning board of appeals.
I will make that motion to approve Joyce Scrivens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Yep. Ambrose,
Yes.
Arnold. Yes. Locke,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Shenzing,
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I also have a fine young gentleman in the audience here that he's Drew Maltese. You might have some bad family members on the table up here.
No, not bad. He's a good one.
Is that notarized?
No, it's not yet.
Yeah. For a zoning board of appeals, Andrew's been a successful businessman in the city. He's done construction work for a long time. He actually knows how to get around all the ordinances or ignore them, I think is what he did in a couple projects. No, but yeah, I've known him for a long time, and I nominate him for ZBA. I think that fills our process if anybody would motion.
Woods will second. I thought that was a motion.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It cut out. I think we lost internet, but that's okay. Perfect. Roll call.
Arnold. Yes. Locke,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Shenzing.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate your family's work, what they did for Wall Lake Elementary too, and their playground. So, thank you.
Didn't do much there, just got numbers, but yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every bit helped.
Yes, it did.
Thanks.
Great.
And we won't hold your cousin against you. Yeah. So, so that, Van, then you had a couple other ones to talk about? Because that was a big one. We had wiped it out, and it was just Jay Easter. So I think the 4 of them will do fine.
Yeah,
We have-
I think that's a great start. There's still some vacancies on some other boards and commissions, and
I think we have
you'll
Parks.
fill those, I guess, when you're ready.
Yeah, I think we've got one for Parks and Recs, which is Ruth. How do I pronounce her last name again? Dufresne. It looks different than it, but it's Dufresne. Ruth Dufresne for Parks and Recs. She was on it before. There were some issues that people had with, a personal issue she had. I don't really care. Very, very, very nice woman. Wants to donate to the city. I'm not holding somebody out, helping the city with what they need to do. So I'd nominate Ruth Dufresne for Parks and Recs.
Woods will second.
Second, yeah, you have to.
First, yeah.
Yeah. Roll call.
Locke,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Shinzing,
Yes.
Woods,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Arnold, Gunther.
Yes.
Thank you.
I've got one. I think we've got a DDA opening too.
I
Yes, I think
would
Mr.
defer
Millen-
to the clerk.
Yeah, Mr.
regarding
Mr.
the
Millen.
openings on the different boards and
Instantly
commissions.
on the
Yeah.
zoning, we need to.
There may
planning
be
and
some
zoning.
planning commission openings.
We gotta,
We're working on a
I
planning
think we
commission
need- I think
person.
we
I
need-
don't think we got anything, Dennis. Nobody's come forward, or was there? Dennis is dead again on the screen. The gentleman there was.
We'll need people talking.
Yeah, the planning commission. I don't think we've got anything pushed forward on what we, a volunteer for that.
No, I've
Yeah.
I've
Got a couple in the works.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But we do have, for the Downtown Development Authority, replacing the one vacancy. I'd like to nominate Tom Langen, he's still on the Tax Board of Appeals. Tom's, he's been here for a long time. The family used to own half of this area, and he actually stepped up, said he wants to be on it. So I'm going to nominate Tom Langen for the Downtown Development Authority.
Contingent upon his application.
Does he need an application? Because he's already on a board.
You, I'm
He's already on a board.
refer to the attorney.
Yeah. I mean, the application for a board position, to me, it's the same
You don't
thing.
want to do tribal knowledge, right?
Yeah. I know he's on the tax board, but we could have him, if he could just provide us with an application for the
Sure.
DDA position as well.
Sure, contingent upon
I
it.
think it's pretty short and sweet. It's not a big thing.
And $5.
we have had people apply to fake their application or their credentials since I've been here.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't real, like the educate. I mean, it sometimes doesn't matter.
Right.
But
if we already have one, I just thought it's kind of.
Yeah, no, he's good. I mean, he's a lawyer,
He's not a lawyer. He won't even give you advice anymore. He doesn't practice.
He used to be a lawyer. I
Yeah.
think he went to Notre Dame or something like that. He's some highly educated guy,
Yeah, and a state fan. So roll call on it. We made the, Dennis motioned. We got a second over here. I think it was, I think it was
Okay.
Ryan did, but
O'Rourke,
I think it was a work event, yeah.
And I couldn't hear the motion. Is this?
Tom Langen
Tom
to
Langen.
the DDA.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Shinzing,
Yes.
Woods,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Locke,
Yes.
Gunther.
yes.
Great.
Okay, we have a few more in the background that we're working on, but is there a way to get this, like the remaining board seats that are available, to reach out or push notifications somehow, some type of communication, because nobody knows, right? And unless you're dragging and chasing people down and trying to get them on there, I'd love to have people just apply and, maybe I'll get to know somebody that I never knew before. If we put it on the sign out front, looking for positions on, or we post it on the website. It's on the sign right now?
I don't know if it is now, but it's been up.
It's been up. Yeah, we can put it
Yeah.
up in tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah.
we can change those signs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do need to make a clarification announcement for those folks that were appointed, nominated and appointed to the boards and commissions. You do need to come to the clerk's office, please, to be sworn in prior to any meeting attendance. So please,
Yeah.
I will be emailing each of you and applications to be completed, but we do have to swear you in, and it's short and sweet.
And $25.
No.
Okay. I don't have anybody else? Okay, no one's smarter than all of us, and I know it says the mayor is the one that's supposed to nominate the people, but we're all equal votes here, and I have no problem with you guys throwing names out, even if it's just to go, hey, this guy, you want to talk to this person? Hey, this woman wants to do this, just like talk to her. You guys don't hold back.
Been
Right.
actively asked.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, good. Good. So no one else. Good.
And Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke, he's going to continue on the Planning Commission and ZBA. Is that correct?
We need to ask him. That would solve my problem. We need a planning and zoning board.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
need,
he's not, I don't think he comes
you need
off
a
that.
member who serves on both. You need a joint member for the Planning Commission and the ZBA, and I believe, I believe Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke has been doing that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the legal requirements.
I thought ZBA couldn't be planning.
You're technically not allowed to be on both. I was actually an alternate on.
Correct.
Full-time
Yeah,
planning.
just check that, Van, because I'm pretty sure it's like, yeah, you're on the planning commission, you approve something, somebody goes to the ZB, or you deny something, somebody goes to the ZBA, and you're on the planning commission too. It's sort of like a conflict of interest, isn't it?
The issue here would be, I was around when they made the appointments, so some of these appointments, not all of the appointments were made by the prior mayor. She made the appointments and they have a term. Well, the only reason you can't serve is if there's a violation of what they call the incompatibility statute.
Correct. I think that's
And so
incompatible.
they were appointed, it wasn't because they were on the council. The issue was, we want to appoint you, you're on the council, we want to appoint you, is there a conflict? And at the time that he was serving, he was not a councilman. The issue, I mean, if he wants to serve, if the mayor pro tem wants to serve, the issue would be, and you gotta ask the city attorney, does that run afoul of the conflict of interest that you're talking about, which is the incompatibility statute? I don't.
Not the council and the planning commission, because I don't want them off of that, but being on the planning commission and the zoning board, I thought that was incompatible.
Well, what you guys want, but we need somebody on planning.
He's
We
not
work good
changing.
together on planning. If the mayor pro tem can do one more meeting or two more meetings, and then we'll sort.
I can stay on planning.
Yeah.
I think that works better than.
Yeah,
and
he was an
then-
alternate on the zoning board, but I believe that, man, we just take a look at that, because I believe those two are incompatible jobs.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that and follow up with you, but I want to say that we do need to have a joint member, but I'll double check.
Well, he'll be the joint.
I'll double check that.
Yeah, I think it's not a joint, well, go ahead. Yeah, just check on it, and if he needs to be a joint member, we'll figure something out.
The conflict, if there was one, would be those two boards you're talking about, because
Yeah.
if you recall, council member Osnick was a council member, but he was on planning. So would be no different.
That's not
The
a
mayor
problem.
pro tem can serve there, and frankly, from administration perspective, that's where we need him right now,
Yeah.
you know, to serve until you guys
But
find another way.
We just re-up the zoning board
Yeah.
team, so
No?
we now got 3 additional people with Jay Easter, so I think that's fine.
Yeah, well, it's a local ordinance requirement that one member of the ZBA shall also be a member of the Planning Commission.
Huh.
And that is provided for under the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act as well.
Okay. Interesting. They seem incompatible to me, but that's okay. No problem.
No, you gotta have you gotta have a joint member.
Yeah, then so you can just hang out and be an alternate if there's no quorum of some kind.
Yeah, that's fine, and I can do that.
Okay.
One more thing to add to this. I think you're filling vacancies of
Correct.
unexpired terms. And I think you're going to have to do all this again in February. Actually, I think most of them expire again, so you get to start all over and you can make adjustments then.
Well, yeah, if they still want to go, it's
Yeah,
good
you can
for
make adjustments.
extended period of time, isn't it? It's good until you replace them.
Well, they all have terms.
Right.
You know,
Term limits?
2, 3 terms, whatever it is, and it kind of depends on, they don't all run concurrently.
Yeah, I think
You know,
a couple of-
they expire at different times, and, yeah, they're, when you fill a vacancy for a current unexpired term, then whoever you appoint to that vacancy, their term expires whenever the term expires,
Right.
you know? So if there's 6 months left on the term of the office that they're
Right.
filling, then they would have to be reappointed in 6 months.
But there's no term limits, right?
No,
No,
Okay,
no,
so-
no.
Is it was if their term is expired, you're saying you gotta either nominate them again?
Yeah.
Because I thought it would
Yeah.
go extended until if they were still willing to serve.
Yeah, they,
I'm not sure
you
what
know,
the
they-
law
they
was.
they continue to serve and after their term expires until someone is appointed to fill that
Yeah.
spot.
And if no one's appointed and they're still
But-
on there,
but, yeah,
is it
but-
an eternity?
But technically, you know, they're
they live as long as
limited.
Dennis.
They're limited term appointments, and when the term expires, you should reappoint them if they want to continue.
You
to
should.
serve.
Is it required?
I would recommend it.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, Jen, I think we had the sheet, right? And is that
So-
still the same? Because I think there were a few names that were bad.
I think you have 4 of the 5 filled for ZBA.
Yeah.
O'Rourke or be the 5th alternate if
Right.
needed, but you have 4, so chances are we won't need to
Okay.
contact them.
And then the ones that are, there's a few expiring in February, right?
There's,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was like, there was one whole board, I think.
I
that was
think you
gone.
fixed everything at least for a
Yeah.
while. tonight.
Okay,
You
so we're
fixed
good for a little bit, but,
February 1.
it. No, I think.
yeah. Please, everybody actively, even if you're a
fixed it.
participant, actively look at somebody to do this, right? We'll take it. We're desperate. We'll take anyone.
We're
Just
fixed
kidding.
for tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Anything else, Van?
Next item I have is the PUD ordinance.
Yeah, read that document.
Yeah, as you all know, at the last meeting, you adopted a moratorium on the current PUDs and
Right.
CPDs for 90 days, so that we could take a look at what we currently have on the books at our current ordinances and discuss potentially doing some amendments to those current ordinances. What I've done is I've given you an overview of the state law, which is Section 503 of the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, which is the state law that deals specifically with PUDs and PUD ordinances and what is required to be in PUD ordinances. I've given you an overview of what we currently have on the books, and I've made some suggestions of some potential changes or amendments that you could make to the current PUD option. So, and as I've indicated in my memo, you've got quite a bit of discretion, quite a bit of flexibility in terms of what you want to do. I tried to address, some of the comments that the council members had made at the last meetings in terms of some of the changes that they'd like to see. I know one of them was to sort of maybe rein in the discretion a little bit, maybe make it a little bit of a less discretionary process. And what you have right now, and one of the ways, and there's a number of different ways you could do that, but one of the ways that you might want to take a look at is distinguishing between use and non-use zoning regulations. Maybe you provide some discretion to making modifications for non-use types of zoning regulations, such as setbacks, building heights, dimensional types of standards there, but not making any discretionary changes for the use. Under the current ordinance, there's discretion to establish pretty much any use on a proposed PUD, even if even if it's not a permitted use, based on the underlying zoning.
Say that again.
So,
Dan?
well, say for instance, somebody comes in, wants to build a PUD on a piece of property, and they want to do, say, an apartment complex, a multiple family residential development. But the current zoning, the underlying zoning of that piece of property, doing multiple family isn't allowed. It's not a permitted use. So one of the things you could do is to say, okay, In order to be eligible for a PUD, you have to show that the use, your proposed development is allowed under the current zoning. I mean, that's something you could do. I mean, it's not required under the current ordinance. Under the current ordinance, there's discretion to say, okay, even though this isn't allowed in this particular zoning district right now, we're going to let you do it anyway if certain criteria are met. So that's sort of just one example of one way that you can maybe make it a little bit tighter, a little less, a little less discretionary. Is to say, okay, we're going to allow some modifications and some departures on non-use requirements, but we're not going to allow any modifications or departures for something like the use itself. The use itself has to be permitted under the current zoning. If it's not, then it would not be eligible for the PUD option. So that's one thing you could do. And I gave you the example of the Novi. Of the way Novi does it is they do what's called a PRO, which is a planned rezoning overlay. So it's kind of like a combined rezoning and PUD all rolled into one, to where somebody came in and said, okay, I want to do a multiple family apartment complex on this piece of property, but it's not currently zoned for that. Then if you had that type of ordinance on the books like Novi has, then they could use that option to where they would propose the rezoning that was necessary to support that development, that new use, and it would still provide with a limited amount of flexibility to give some modifications or variances as needed if it was within council's discretion to do so in order to build the project.
Right.
And the benefit you get there is that ahead of time when they ask for the rezoning what's going to be built there. Under traditional rezoning, you don't always know what they're going to build. They just say they just want to change the rezoning, and there's lots of different things that they could potentially build.
Right.
So that's kind of one of the benefits or the advantages of having that type of ordinance, that type of a development option available. Other things that you could do when it comes to the modifications and the variances, you could involve the ZBA. There was some indication that there was an interest in involving the ZBA in the PUD process in some capacity. You could allow people to go to the ZBA to seek variances from maybe some of the requirements that were beyond the scope of what could be modified within the PUD process. So if you limit it, like say for example, you said, okay, building height is not modifiable under the PUD, then they would go to the ZBA and they would ask for a variance to get a variance from the building height. So that's another example of something you could do. And you could also do something, say for the dimensional site standards like setbacks, building heights, densities, things like that, things that are quantifiable or measurable.
Right.
You could say, okay, we're going to allow modifications, but the ceiling on the modification is only like a 10% increase. You can only go 10% above what's required under the ordinance, as opposed to the sky's the limit. So if you have an ordinance regulation that says you can only have a 2-story building, and you said, okay, well, we're going to only a 2-story or a 30-foot building, whatever. If you put some type of cap on it, like 10%, 15, 20, or whatever, then that would kind of further rein in the discretionary decision making.
Right.
So you're still going to get something that's maybe a little bit taller than what's allowed, but not a lot taller.
Right.
So those are some of the things that you could potentially do as far as any type of ordinance amendment.
Yeah.
So there's a lot you can do.
Right.
That's just sort of a very small glimpse. I kind of talk about some other things in the memo itself,
Right.
But the next step would be to actually figure out, start coming up with some drafts of some actual language of some ordinance amendments themselves, And then, that would kind of give us sort of a starting point to where we can look at
Right.
an actual proposed ordinance and then say, okay, I like this, but I don't like this, or I'd like to add,
Yeah.
that in. So I could bring something, I could start that, I could bring something back at the next meeting. I kind of have some general idea in terms of what you'd kind of like to see.
Right. I think that
You've provided
Yeah.
a volume of material as well.
just
to-
comparisons of other cities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Van, I absolutely, I got an email, and I think I might have got a phone call, but I'm not answering the 1,000 phone calls I get for no reason. They're just my TV company calls every 3 hours. I'm from your TV company, so I got all these spam calls, but I know I got an email from the developer, and I will not be talking to a developer, right? So, but I did commit during that meeting that we would have like a committee get together, planning commission, and come up with the ideas of what we need. I mean, who better to have than the developer that knows how to get around and make, get what they want from something when their zoning ordinance says you can't, right? So he's probably one of the best people to have on there, and he offered his time, but I'm not going to communicate back with him. So we want to get the developer, our planning commission, a few people if they want to contribute. I know, Jamie, you've got a bunch of things that we've talked about in the past. I gave you a list of things that bothered me, and we need to get that committee going, or we're going to take 180 days like you talked, right? So I would like somebody to motion that we have that committee kicked off, that we formally have some meetings, get some people together, and see what we need to do to make it a place we all want to live in, right? A city we want to be proud of, right? I'd love it to look like downtown Rochester. I mean, man, that during the Christmas time, that was just gorgeous, right? All those lights and everybody's the same, and it's downtown looks nice. That's what I want to try and get to. Again, I think that comes ahead of what we're trying to do with the rebuild downtown, right? So again, at the same time, but I think I'd like the motion that we set the committees up. So I think we've already wasted 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm fine with making the motion. So how do we identify the stakeholders that we want to have in there? Is the motion just to kick off assembling that? Or
Yeah, start having some discussions, yeah. Pick a time, a date, a plan, who's going to be on it. I like I said, planning commission, the developer that wants to help. Yeah, I'd like to be a part of it. If we have the DDA wants to be a part of it, because I mean they're a big part of what we want to do in the area. But there's got to be a way to make this where we can get quickly through a bunch of things. I think some of the things that I talked about, Van, are, I mean, you can't argue that they're logical and reasonable, and we should just start looking at it. I know I sent everything to council, right, for a discussion to look at. I didn't get any feedback really.
Yeah, just because I recently, well, I guess it's not that recent
Yeah.
anymore, but went through the process. I'd be happy to make the motion for it, but like I said, when is the motion to establish this as to the genesis of it in the first one, or is the motion going to be we want to do it next Tuesday at 7 p.m.?
Establish it. We got a 90-day window. Yeah. We got to get something going. Got to give Van some direction. What do we want to be when we grow up?
Yeah, one of the things you're going to need to look at are design standards.
Yeah.
We have, under the current PUD ordinance, there is a design standard section, but it applies across the board to every single PUD. And it sounds like
and it's recommended.
You want to have some design standards that are maybe sort of more specific to certain areas of the city, like the downtown historic district of the city, where you're going to have some design standards for facades and architectural features and aesthetics, and so that you achieve a certain look and some connectivity and consistency in the facades and the look. And I don't think we have that right now. I think most of the design standards we have are like they're more like dimensional site type standards. They're not really geared more towards achieving any particular look.
Yeah.
So you're going to need. I mean, that's not legal stuff. I can't tell you how to do that.
Look, I have no problem with you see you have a community that's got a code, a muni code that's exactly kind of what you want to be. Cut and paste, right? Not going to go develop an architectural standards. If somebody's already done it and you love the way it looks, just cut and paste, right?
So I'll make a motion to bring that committee together Like I said, I don't know how to coordinate the time. So I guess if the motion is to establish it and work with Dennis to figure out when this can be, I put that motion forward to kick this off, because as the mayor said, we're gonna run out of time if we don't start taking action
Right.
on it. So I would like to see this progress. We did give that person our word that we would progress this.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not talking to a developer without a room full of people.
I think that's a very good idea. It's called avoiding the appearance of impropriety. I don't do it either. And goodness knows they always want to meet, and so that was a really good decision on your part. Adding to that, yes, we have developers calling wanting to talk to you already, so it's better to have a committee if you're going to do that, and if it's possible, have the meetings right here.
Yeah.
And we can turn them into at least they're recorded, if you will. We probably don't, if you have a majority, we might have to even advertise it or whatever. If you keep it a small committee of a committee staff and one or two, then we probably don't, we call it a meeting. But yeah, it's a good idea to not individually meet, because it always, even if well-intended, the other side of that, it turns into something bad.
Yeah.
So
No, and
good decision.
and again,
Good
I mean,
decision.
we talked about it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we said, let's get
Well, you decide how you want to do it. We'll staff it. So we'll do
Yeah.
it right here, and I'll assign somebody, and we'll hear, and you guys do the talking. And
I'll participate, but Dennis, I don't want to tell you how to do your job. I think you need to kick it off.
All right. Well, then I'll put together. I hope
Come up with a strategy and a plan, because
I want this guy on it.
oh yeah,
I don't know if he's got the time, but he's got some experience with planning and zoning.
you
I don't want.
could bring your granddaughter.
Well, he raised his hand. I saw
She's
that.
beautiful.
No, I mean,
Be serious. Yeah.
You would be available, or you?
I'd be available, yeah.
Yeah, I think your experience over there would be useful. Secondly, one councilman and the mayor, that's probably enough.
Yeah.
And staff.
Jamie, you got some ideas though, right? So I mean, it's whatever. I don't really care. And if if 2 or 3 of us are going to be there, and actually 5 can attend, and 2 of us won't go, so we don't have a council quorum, right? But I really think we need to address this.
On the spot,
No,
but
it's
I need
Right? So the motion was up.
I wanted to be on.
Set the committee.
know that.
Dennis,
Good.
city manager to set the committee by some date.
Yeah.
You just get it going.
We're going to send you
And then we'll-
emails. I'm going to work with the clerk, and we'll work it out and
Perfect.
put it together. We'll coordinate the times for everybody can meet, and then I'm pretty sure the developers or whoever wants to meet will come whenever we say.
Yeah, pretty sure.
So, all right, we'll
make
work
it
it
feel
out.
awkward.
All right, that's a good decision. I'm glad you didn't meet with him.
Yeah.
Once again, I'll put that motion up.
There you go. Any second?
Yeah.
Second? Okay. Roll? Because I think it's just important to document it.
Shenzing,
Yes.
Woods,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Arnold, Locke,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Unfinished business. Proposed resolution, schedule regular meetings for 2026. We can either go the way I wanted, which is the first Tuesday and the third Tuesday of every month, or I'll just call a special meeting on the first Tuesday of every month.
That's not fair.
Huh? That's pretty cool. I actually walked myself through that and said, I'll just, special meeting every second. Guys, we got a lot of stuff I want to get done here. And it's just, the only way to do it is to have a meeting. We need to figure out who we need to have at every single meeting. It's not necessary to have all these guys here. I mean, if Dennis, if you're here.
No, I'm going to come.
We got to have a justice of the peace.
I'm gonna
That
have-
could be anybody, but we don't really, if there's nothing in the report that's really neat to talk about or something you guys want to tell us, get them out, right?
The only person you need, you need somebody, we need a recording secretary, and I'm going to be whatever meeting
Right.
you call.
Yeah.
Staff, they don't even have to come to this meeting. I set that standard a long time ago because it's more useful for council members to be able to talk directly in the
Yeah.
eyeball. It's kind of,
Yeah,
like,
it's nice.
this is who we're talking to.
And we do that once a month.
Well, we do that once a month. If you want to vote for 2 meetings, my motion would be no, but see, I
Having
don't.
all your staff here,
other than
No,
a justice of the
they
peace,
don't
which
get
I think is
overtime for
required.
coming here.
Yeah, it's their time, right?
You guys get
If
paid
they
double.
don't need to be here, because we got you.
Yeah.
right? I think the only other thing in the law is that it's justice of the peace has to be there. Then we'll do it, although once a month, they'll come to it.
If you got 4 votes for coming, that's or 3 others, that's all that matters. The increase is minimal, but, you get, the council members will have to adjust the pay, because you guys get paid. And if you haven't signed up to get paid, you need to do that for help out the front office. I think some of you, you haven't done the paperwork, because you're employees now, But yeah,
Doesn't feel like it.
my team, we don't get overtime. I think some people think we do, but that's not true.
That's not my point. We don't need to waste their time.
We will be here, get the votes.
Okay.
You need 3 more.
So that's on again, you could vote to have the 2 meetings a month schedule, or the one, you guys could do whatever you want in a motion here, right? I just caution you, I'll just call a special meeting every first Tuesday of every month. Mandatory.
You can't have a meeting unless a majority shows up.
Well, yeah,
Keep that in
yeah.
mind.
And we won't excuse their absence.
If 4 people don't show up, you can't not excuse it.
You can't excuse it.
You do it the way you want.
So with that said, I will be happy to
You got the
propose
gavel, but
resolution
you don't outvote it.
2026-02, schedule of regular meetings for 2026.
That's the second one now.
That one has been approved. It's
They can get
table
even,
to-
2 council members.
table
Mayor,
to discuss the.
Yeah.
Mayor, when you're traveling and you're out of town, 2 council members can call a meeting, and if you don't show up, they cannot excuse you. So it works both ways.
I don't know how I'll deal without the money.
You get $50 every time. Somebody already said that. They want to double their salary. I'm going, nah, that's probably not what that's about.
Yeah, and I just gotta tell you guys, there's, between Dennis and those 2 and myself, we could probably go till midnight and still not feel like we got anything accomplished.
I think we can get everything done in one meeting, and if you want to call a special meeting and they all want to show up, good for them.
Then we'll
But
stay
you
till
don't need to
midnight.
Set 2 permanent meetings. But don't ask me anything, I'm just the manager.
Yeah, my biggest worry is this 90 days we've set on ourselves.
Yep.
That's why I think a couple meetings are important, at least in the near term, to get this stuff laid out. And we're already 30 days into a 90-day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Now,
Couple weeks into it.
yeah, 2 weeks, because we called a special meeting. So, what do we want to do?
I'm happy to support 2 meetings for the next 3 months, and then we can reevaluate at that time to support this
Sure.
deadline, so that we're not locking ourselves in. So that's where my head's at.
I would second what Councilman Arnold just stated for 3 months.
Sure. Roll call?
Woods,
Is that a motion or?
Yeah. I
That was a
guess.
motion.
Turn into a motion.
Before you go on that, I think we're already covered, so I'm going to vote no.
Okay.
okay, 1, 2. Ambrose,
Covered if we need it.
No.
Arnold,
Yes.
Locke,
No.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Shinzing,
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4 yeas. Motion carries.
See you there, staff.
So these meetings will be then for the first 3 months, they're going to be the 1st and 3rd, is that what I'm understanding? Is
Yeah.
that what I'm taking away?
Yeah.
Okay, so starting February, March, and April of 2026, the 1st and 3rd Tuesday at this particular point in time? Is
Sure.
that what it is?
Yep.
Okay,
That's
What?
what we motion.
you gotta talk to me, I can't hear you, okay. Okay. So I will update the calendar for February, March, and April to reflect 2 meetings a month at this point, and then reevaluate. Okay. I'm sorry, I just needed clarification. All right.
Yep.
I'm good.
Okay.
Was it, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So we'll probably, was there anything other unfinished business? That was it? No? We should have had new business. I think we're gonna pause on that. Right?
sorry?
Any other new business?
No, I would put, if I had it, I'd put it on the agenda. Nothing came up, so we're good.
I think I got probably 4 or 5 things between the people who have communicated with me that we could do new business, but we're not gonna do it right now because we'll be here till 12 o'clock. And I don't want, we'll think about that going forward with everybody that voted no. You guys can decide what we want to do, because I could literally keep going and keep everybody here till midnight. I don't feel like it. I want to go home. And I think the only way to not do that, maybe there's some things that we don't have to do during the second meeting month. What legally do we have to do during a council meeting? That's a question. Just think about it.
You can legally do whatever you want.
Wow, that's great. So then we can skip. I think we have to have people in the audience. I don't know if we have to have audience participation.
No, you have to.
That's for an open meeting?
Yes.
Has to be audience participation.
I would I believe, I'll
Okay.
double check, but I believe you do have to have at
Right.
least one segment for audience participation during
Right. It's just how could we get some of the stuff that's formally on here that we usually do so that it's not as much during the second meeting, and we're in and we're out.
It's like skipping like the,
Right.
some of the reports.
Right. Skip reports, because I get the report once a month, don't need the reports second month. I mean, we don't really go over them anyway, but we could skip through, shorten this up a little bit, and get some stuff done, like the resolutions that we want to throw forward, the directives, right? There's a couple right now that I'd really like to do, but we're going to do it at the next meeting, 2 weeks from now. So, okay. Anybody motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
He was good for a second, I tell you. That's it. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Bye, Mr. O'Rourke.